Chapter 1074. The Li Fire sect was located not far from Zhuhua City. It was about 50 miles east. During this period, Wu Jiang and company were constantly using their footwork, shuttling back and forth between the ancient path and the forest. However, they realized that the three people behind them were basically following them closely, never falling behind. There was even a disciple who could not keep up with their speed, falling behind the three of them. The scene was extremely awkward. Wu Jiang knew in his heart that he had probably met an expert. Thankfully, he did not directly fight back at the noodle shop, or else he might not have been able to beat the other party. However, looking at the sect right in front of him, Wu Jiang's heart was filled with glee. Now that he had returned to his own territory, he would have a certain advantage. No matter how arrogant this lad was right now, this was the furthest he could go. This is the Li Fire sect. Li Zongjiu and company landed on the ground. In a radius of 5 miles, there was rich fire elemental yuan energy gathered. It swirled around him, filling his entire body. He grabbed a handful of soil beneath his feet. There should be a spirit fire hidden under your Li Fire sect. Li Zongjiu said in surprise. Spirit fire? There's such a thing. Wu Jiang and company were panting heavily from exhaustion. But in front of Li Zongjiu, they tried their best to maintain a steady breathing. They did not want to expose themselves. Cut the crap. I'll call for people now. I'll show you my Li Fire sect's stance. Wu Jiang did not forget Li Zongjiu's arrogant manner from before. Now the opportunity was here. Once they reached the Li Fire sect, none of them could escape. Wu Jiang immediately burned a yellow talisman. Boom! The yellow charm transformed into a beam of light that shot up into the sky. It flew towards the Li Fire sect's mountain. Seeing this scene, Wu Jiang crossed his arms in front of him. With a smug smile on his face, he stared at Li Zongjiu in front of him. Just you wait. Boom! Boom! Suddenly there was an earth-shattering explosion. Following that, one of the Li Fire sect's mountain peaks was blasted to smithereens. Rich flames instantly swept over. It was like a huge wave of fire. The terrifying aura that permeated the surroundings caused Wu Jiang and the others, who were watching from below, to widen their eyes. Because the mountain that was blasted into pieces was Nanming Peak, that Wu Jiang cultivated in. Fuck Nanming Peak. Nanming Peak was bombed by someone? Li Zongjiu and the other two immediately became alert. Following which, one could clearly see that the fire elemental energy beneath their feet was rapidly converging towards the sky. Above the Li Fire sect, there was a figure that seemed to be absorbing the power of the flames below. How dare you encounter my Li Fire sect's treasure? Hand over your life. Immediately, Wu Jiang saw a few familiar figures of elders and peak masters dashing into the sky. It seemed like they were going to fight with the mysterious person. However, in an instant the mysterious person's face changed. All the experts who had rushed into the sky were swept down directly. Bang! 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 Several figures suddenly fell from the sky. Master! Elder! Isn't that the sect master? Even the sect master has been defeated? The ferocity of the person who came was unimaginable to ordinary people. The sect master, who was usually high and mighty, was a nearly invincible existence. He was defeated in an instant. At the same time, the person in the sky was constantly absorbing the Li Fire sect's fire elemental energy. It was as if he wanted to snatch away the spirit fire hidden beneath the sect. I've finally found you. When Li Zongjiu saw the figure, he had already guessed who it was. Only when he attacked did Li Zongjiu clearly sense the person in front of him. He was the person that Li Zongjiu had been searching for all this time. All of you stay where you are. The moment Li Zongjiu's voice faded, his body shot up from the spot. He exploded with a speed that was hundreds of times faster than before, or even tens of thousands of times faster. Boom! What is that guy doing? Is he crazy? How can his speed be so fast? Wu Jiang and company saw Li Zongjiu rush into the sky. Was this guy a battle maniac? Why did he look so excited? It even felt a little scary. Hence, after seeing this scene, Wu Jiang could not help but say. However, the moment he saw Li Zongjiu rush into the sky, an extremely terrifying shockwave was produced. Boom! Immediately, an incomparably powerful vibration swept out and rushed towards the person who had just defeated the combined forces of their sect master and elders with a single move. Bang! When Wu Tian saw Li Zhongjie attacking, he used one hand to block in front of him, hoping to block Li Zhongjie. And Wu Tian's carelessness was in line with Li Zhongjie's intentions. He immediately exerted the strength in his hand. A black shadow burst out from the black dragon hammer. It bit off Wu Tian's arm. The explosion of the black dragon hammer made Wu Tian feel a powerful force. At the same time, he frowned at his left arm that was about to be bitten off. "It's you." Wu Tian finally recognized Li Zhongjie. If Li Zhongjie had not saved the King of Fire in the Ghost King's secret realm that day, he would have already been defeated. He would have already subdued the King of Fire long ago. But this was also good. Keeping the King of Fire's life, he could integrate it into the peerless treasured sword and obtain a powerful force. "It's me. I've been looking for you for a long time." Li Zhongjie stared into Wu Tian's eyes and said in a deep voice. Although Wu Tian's realm was higher than Li Zhongjie's, and he had even broken through to the second-grade sovereign realm, Wu Tian was still afraid of Li Zhongjie. But Li Zhongjie was not afraid at all. "You'll have to work harder from now on," Wu Tian said coldly. A person who dared to provoke him time and time again would not be able to continue living. At the place where his broken arm was, a ball of flame condensed. Immediately, a new arm grew out of it. Facing Li Zhongjie's provocation, Wu Tian was very direct. He punched out from dozens of meters away. Boom! The earth shook. The air was torn apart. The terrifying force from the fist rushed out for hundreds of meters and landed on the ground with a loud bang, creating a deep pit with a radius of hundreds of meters. This pit was at least 7 or 8 meters deep. The things in the pit were already charred black. It was like a barbecue pit dug by a giant. "What's going on? Who is that guy?" Wu Jiang and the others widened their eyes and stared at Li Zhongjie in the sky. They could not believe their eyes. It was obvious that Li Zhongjie had forced the mysterious person who attacked the sect into a corner. That was why the other party was so ruthless. However, although the opponent's move was powerful, Li Zhongjie easily dodged it. Thousands of miles high in the sky, countless thunderclouds were attracted. Boom! Boom! Under the summoning of the black dragon hammer in Li Zhongjie's hand, countless lightning bolts descended from the sky. The entire sky seemed to turn into a world of lightning. One could vaguely see a gigantic black dragon swimming in the endless thunderclouds, constantly releasing lightning bolts. It was like a battle between gods. Looking at the people below, they were all astonished. How powerful and terrifying were these peerless experts? They were exchanging blows on top of their sections. One of the lightning bolts was dodged by the opponent, but it directly shattered another mountain in the Li Fire sect. Boom! It was enough to tell how powerful the two of them were. They were not to be trifled with. It was too terrifying. But if not for the person who rushed out and blocked the expert, who wanted to absorb their sect's origin energy, the Li Fire sect would probably have been destroyed. Who is that person? Who invited this expert? The Li Fire sect's sect master was sitting on the ground, adjusting his breathing. When he saw the battle between Li Zhongjie and Wu Tian, he was deeply shocked. He never expected that their Li Fire sect, which had been established for hundreds of years, would nearly be destroyed. "The reason why you can fight me is because of the hammer in your hand. If you were to lose the hammer, I would like to see what else you can rely on." Wu Tian snorted coldly. Suddenly, he formed a seal with his hand and conjured a force, trapping Li Zhongjie. Most importantly, it also restricted the black dragon hammer in Li Zhongjie's hand. Wang! The black dragon hammer was sent flying tens of thousands of miles away by the opponent's kick. At the same time, he sent a palm strike at Li Zhongjie's head. Boom! Li Zhongjie circulated his energy, instantly shattering the restraining force around him. Li Zhongjie, who had escaped from the restraints. Similarly, he sent a move forward. Pagoda Palm. Chapter 1075. The power of his palm instantly whizzed out. The power of the two collided. From the center of the explosion, an incomparably tyrannical power could be seen sweeping out in all directions. Boom! The vibrating power almost reached a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Some of the Yuan beasts, who were still flying in the air, were easily torn apart by this force. Sky Wu retracted his fist. Just now, Li Zhongjiu's palm had almost scattered his aura. Fortunately, the power in his body was strong enough, and he was able to gradually break down this move. If Li Zhongjiu's move was a little stronger, he would probably be seriously injured. But in this state, Li Zhongjiu should also be injured. At this moment, looking at Li Zhongjiu's body, there was a golden light that was surging. Gradually, the injury just now calmed down. Your power, is this all you've got? Li Zhongjiu looked at his opponent and said indifferently. His words were full of disdain. At this moment, the Golden Dragon Original Spirit's defense could be considered to be completely tyrannical. After Li Zhongjiu used the 1,000-year-old Flood Dragon's blood to refine it, it was obviously more powerful. A trace of surprise flashed in Sky Wu's eyes, but more of it was indifference. It seemed that in Sky Wu's eyes, Li Zhongjiu was just a weak challenger, and he was testing Li Zhongjiu's ability. You're really a good opponent, but I don't have time to play with you, Sky Wu said indifferently. He stretched out his hand. In the palm of his hand, a terrifying flame immediately gushed out. The flame was cyan blue. It was full of destructive power. Li Zhongjiu stared at it. Gui Luyan. The flame seemed to have turned into a ferocious person with a green face and fangs, flowing back and forth on the latter's body like a stream of water. Since you know him, I don't need to introduce him. The effect of the flowing ghost flames was quite vicious. Most importantly, the flames could refine souls. If one was infected, it would directly burn one's soul. If the liquid state of the flowing ghost flame was even denser, it meant that it had devoured even more spirit power. Naturally, its power would also be stronger. Do you think that you're the only one with a spiritual fire? Li Zhongjiu opened his palm and released the towering flame from his body. Boom! The power of the obsidian flame and the towering flame had already merged into one. After all, the power of the obsidian flame was much weaker than the towering flame. He saw that Li Zhongjiu had also summoned his spiritual fire. Sky Wu frowned. Li Zhongjiu really had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. His strength wasn't that great, but when he used all kinds of power, Sky Wu felt very troubled. Then let's see how capable you are. Wu Tian coldly snorted, and the flowing ghost flame in his hand swept out towards Li Zhongjiu. Boom! The terrifying flowing ghost flame turned into a long whip and swept towards Li Zhongjiu's body. The towering flame in Li Zhongjiu's hand also turned into a giant python. It swallowed the flowing ghost flame in one gulp. With the power of the towering flame, it incinerated the impure spirit power on the flowing ghost flame and easily refined it. Although the flame was simply released, it looked like a ball of flame was thrown out. In fact, there were very important details in the process. If one could grasp them well, they would definitely be able to defeat a stronger opponent. Li Zhongjiu's control of the flame could be said to be at the level of Sky Wu's ancestor. 3,000 years of experience in his previous life was not for show. Therefore, Sky Wu's flowing ghost flame couldn't display its full strength in front of Li Zhongjiu, and the power of the flowing ghost flame was constantly decreasing. It was constantly being weakened. Damn it! Sky Wu could clearly feel that the power of his flowing ghost flame had been burned by a lot. His opponent's control of the flame was actually above his own. What was the background of this young man? Suddenly, Sky Wu saw Li Zhongjiu open his palm and put it in front of him. He couldn't help but be stunned. What was this brat trying to do? Huh? Sky Wu's gaze looked into the distance, and there seemed to be something quickly approaching. Boom! A black thing, surrounded by a ball of flame, quickly flew over from the distance. The flames around it weren't anything else, but because it was too fast, the friction between it and the air produced the flames. Bang! The black dragon hammer directly flew back. The black dragon hammer that had been controlled by Sky Wu and sent flying to some unknown place actually flew back on its own. It was hard to believe. Sky Wu also couldn't believe it. However, it happened. Purple heavenly thunder. Li Zhongjiu pointed the black dragon hammer at the sky and immediately drew a force from the sky. Boom! With a loud sound, a thick purple heavenly thunder fell from the sky and accurately struck Sky Wu's body. Sky Wu couldn't move at all and could only stubbornly resist such a force. Whoosh! Sky Wu's body was torn open by this force. Then Li Zongjie waved his hand. The towering flame wrapped around Gui Luyan's body and flew out. With a whoosh, it directly covered Sky Wu's body. The power of thunder and fire intertwined. Sky Wu's body was rapidly expanding. At this moment, the power in his body seemed to have reached the limit, and he was being burned by the power of thunder and fire, causing him to feel endless pain. Buddha Palm. Once again he used a move. With the power of thunder and fire, he locked onto Sky Wu. Once again, he used the Buddha Palm to cover Sky Wu's body. Boom! Right on target. Instantly, the power of Sky Shaman was disintegrated into countless shards of power that scattered out into the world. The thunder clouds in the sky were rioting. At this moment peace was restored. Li Zongjie's body was in the air, and his face didn't look relaxed at all. Instead, he gritted his teeth and stared into the distance. How dare you play with me with a clone? Li Zongjie's fist slightly tightened, and he put away the black dragon hammer. He reached out and grabbed a strand of Sky Wu's origin energy, sealed it in the space, and then threw it into the blood soul hell. What he just killed wasn't Sky Wu's body. It was just a clone that Sky Wu had refined. However, this clone was obviously very painstakingly refined. And during the process of fighting, Li Zongjie couldn't distinguish the real one from the fake. In the end, when he destroyed Sky Wu, Li Zongjie realized that Sky Wu wasn't strong enough. However, he destroyed Sky Wu's clone. At least, it was equivalent to destroying Sky Wu's 100 years of hard work. At least he got back some interest. His figure once again landed in front of Li Yun and Wan Yulan. Who is that? Li Yun hurriedly asked. His name is Sky Wu. He was the one who captured your master. Li Zongjie said in a deep voice. Then my master? Li Yun and company had seen Li Zongjie kill Sky Wu with their own eyes. It wasn't fake in the slightest. He had killed Sky Wu just like that. What I just killed was only his clone. However, your master should be safe for the time being. After destroying his clone, it will be even harder for him to accomplish certain things. Li Zongjie said. Clearly, Sky Wu was looking for ways to constantly break through his own strength, so he went around searching for the power of the spiritual fire. This time, it was a coincidence. It just so happened that he came to the Li Fire sect and met Sky Wu. At the very least, it interrupted Sky Wu's plans. At the very least, Sky Wu would not be as happy as before. At least, Li Zongjie was very satisfied with the current situation. Now let's go back first and wait for the Demon Suppression Palace to appear. Li Zongjie said. Alright. The two of them had witnessed Li Zongjie's terrifying battle power. Under the aftermath of their battle, the Li Fire sect was completely destroyed. However, although the sect was destroyed, at least the lives of these people were saved. All of this was thanks to Li Zongjie. Who are you people? Wu Jiang looked at the three people in front of him. Their strength was too abnormal. Just a moment ago, that arrogant person just now had actually beaten someone to death. He had directly crippled that person. It was unbelievable. Thankfully, they had not fought with these people in the noodle shop. If they had really fought, it was unknown how terrifying the outcome would be. The few of them would probably have turned into cold corpses. Wan Yulan glanced at Wu Jiang nonchalantly. Come to Wanyong Marquis residence to find me for your losses. Although Wanyong Marquis residence might not pay for it, nor might they be able to afford it, but at least they could express their stance. We're not here to bully you. Wanyong Marquis residence. Seeing the three of them leave, Wu Jiang and company's eyes were filled with endless admiration. They were indeed experts. Chapter 1076. Li Zongjie and the rest returned to the Black Canal Royal City and the Marquis residence of Wanyong. They didn't spend too much time on the road today. However, the situation before and after they returned had changed drastically. The outcome of these two major sects was almost equivalent to the destruction of these two major sections. Only Li Zongjie could destroy these two major sects so easily. However, the people of the Jihua sect were worried from the beginning to the end. What if Li Zongjie came looking for them again? Moreover, the Jihua sect still hadn't found the things that he had instructed them to do. Therefore, they felt that it was difficult to explain this matter. Moreover, They were still worried that Li Zongjio might turn back halfway and ask them for something, but they couldn't take it out. What should they do? Although more than 10 deacons had died, it wasn't too bad that they were severely injured. Therefore, this loss was still acceptable. Of course, the most unfortunate thing was that the entire mountain was split into two. The fate of the entire sect was completely destroyed. However, when they found out that Li Zongjio's identity was actually the evil lord, the people of the Zhihua sect heaved a sigh of relief. At least this matter didn't continue to worsen. Otherwise, the entire Zhihua sect would have been destroyed. Li Zongjio and the rest returned to the marquee residence of Wanyong. This time, they finally settled down. Although Wan Yulan followed them all the way, she didn't help much. However, after witnessing Li Zongjio's battle today, she was indeed quite shocked. Previously, Li Zongjio had fought with the Supreme Being expert from the Saint Flame Empire, and had even slain the Supreme Being expert with a powerful battle record. However, she didn't see that scene with her own eyes. After witnessing the scene today, it could be said that he had truly experienced Li Zongjio's power. The methods of that mysterious expert. He was at least at the pinnacle of the primitive emperor realm. Even pinnacle origin emperors might not be enough to fight with that mysterious person. However, in today's battle, it was Li Zongjio who was suppressing the other party. It was indeed very impressive. All of you can stay here for the time being. If there's anything that is lacking in our hospitality, feel free to tell me at any time. Moreover, with your status, you can basically move about unimpeded within my Marquis Wanyong's residence. Wan Yulan said, "You're welcome. We'll just stay here." That's great. Although I know you don't lack money, the accommodation in the city is still quite expensive. In addition, you have to pay attention to the people from Black Canal Basilica and the Sun family. Don't let them see you again, although they are more well-behaved now. Hearing Wan Yulan's advice, Li Zongjio couldn't help but glance at Wan Yulan. What is it? Is there something on my face? Wan Yulan felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by Li Zongjio, and couldn't help but ask. When I first saw you, I didn't remember you being so wishy-washy. You. Hearing Li Zongjio's teasing, Wan Yulan suddenly blushed. After being teased, Wan Yulan couldn't help but want to bite Li Zongjio. After that, Li Zongjio and Li Yun stayed in the Marquis Wanyong's residence. Is Master in a dangerous situation now? Li Yun asked. Who was that person just now? That person is called Wu Tian. I'm not very sure about his identity, but he is also the one who captured your master. Li Zongjio said. What I killed just now was only his doppelganger. Looking at it now, I'm not very sure about the extent of his strength. Li Zongjio said in a deep voice. This was also the first time Li Yun saw Li Zongjio with such a dignified expression. One must know that it was rare to see Li Zongjio so afraid of someone. Just now, Li Zongjio used almost 80% of his strength, and only managed to destroy one of Wu Tian's doppelganger. Just one doppelganger? What if he refined mini doppelganger? Li Yun suddenly thought. That's enough. You shut up. Li Zongjio suddenly became agitated. Although Li Zongjio was a little worried that Wu Tian's strength would be hidden, or even more powerful than he imagined, Li Zongjio was confident in his heart. No matter how powerful he was, there would be a way to deal with it. However, Li Yun's mouth with just a casual sentence could cause a huge change in the situation. Therefore, he had no choice but to make Li Yun shut up. Aren't I just preparing for a rainy day? Li Yun was quite unhappy. How's your study of formations recently? Li Zongjio glanced at Li Yun. King of Fire was a formation master, and had taught Li Yun some knowledge of formations. Li Yun herself was talented in formations. In addition, Li Zongjio had given her a remnant scroll of formations. If you were to talk about other things, I would be a little weak. But when it comes to formations, I already have 70% of master skills. Hearing this made Li Yun proud of herself. Li Yun's entire body became spirited. That's good. Li Zongjio just replied indifferently. Originally, Li Yun wanted to show off her skills. She didn't expect Li Zongjio to brush it off so casually. Immediately, she felt like she was full of anger and had nowhere to vent it. Since you're good at formations, come with me and have a try, Li Zongjio said. How? Li Yun suddenly became excited, her eyes shining. Let's go to the Qian family tomorrow. These people from the Qian family really don't know what's good for them. Li Zongjie said. Since they were here, they should settle the previous accounts clearly. Li Zongjie remembered these accounts clearly. The Qian family, the Zong family, and this Black Canal Basilica. The most arrogant one was this Black Canal Basilica. They actually provoked Li Zongjie time and time again, and even sent an assassination team. This was what Li Zongjie couldn't tolerate the most. They were too arrogant. If it weren't for Li Zongjie's strength, and the fact that these people from Black Canal Basilica were unscrupulous, they actually wanted to hurt Li Zongjie's family, and Qi Yan ran. This was what made Li Zongjie extremely unhappy. Li Zongjie wanted to settle this account slowly. Even if the people from Black Canal Basilica didn't come to him, Li Zongjie would still go to them. That night, in the Qian family was now completely under Qian Hailong's control. However, last time, the Zong family insisted on going to the Qian family. They obviously couldn't handle Li Zongjie's order, but they insisted on adding more money. In the end, the money was given, but the order couldn't be settled. Recently, it seemed that they didn't have the face to ask the Qian family for money. Although the storm had calmed down for a long time, Qian Hailong was still worried about this matter. This morning, he received the news that Li Zongjie had rushed to the Black Canal Royal City. When Li Zongjie arrived, he already brought a lot of pressure to them. Of course, Li Zongjie didn't come to them directly. This made Qian Hailong breathe a sigh of relief. In the meeting, after everyone reported the recent performance of the family, they started to discuss Li Zongjie's matter. Li Zongjie isn't a kind person. From the information we received from the Shunyan dynasty, we can see that there's at least a force behind Li Zongjie that can fight against a supreme being. It's definitely not easy to provoke them. An elder who had just been promoted by the Qian family said. He first gave everyone a heads up and reminded them of the seriousness of this matter. A supreme being. Although they had heard about it before, they were really shocked when they received the actual information. What other information is there? Qian Hailong asked. Now he was the head of the Qian family. Thanks to Li Zongjie, he was able to relax for the past month. However, under such circumstances, Li Zongjie came again just as he was sitting on the throne. I heard that this person is extremely greedy and likes to extort. If he comes again, our only way is to prepare the money. Someone made a conclusion about Li Zongjie's research. We don't have a life and death feud with Li Zongjie. Li Zongjie is very principled. As long as we are prepared, I believe we can settle it. We can't wait any longer. We'll send the money tonight. Qian Hailong knew how powerful Li Zongjie was. If he waited until Li Zongjie came personally, everything would be too late. Chapter 1077. That night, Qian Hailong overcame all difficulties. He directly asked someone to bring some extremely valuable items to the Marquis mansion to pay a visit to Li Zongjie. Of course, he also wanted to send some gifts to the Marquis mansion. In the end, Qian Hailong and an elder arrived. This elder was Qian Hailong's confidant, and was also an elder in charge of the Qian family's finances. He had great authority. Patriarch, is there really a need to do this? Cut the crap. Just follow me, Qian Hailong said seriously. This confidant had never seen Qian Hailong with such a serious expression. Moreover, it was extremely dignified, as though he was ready to go to the execution ground at any time. This caused the elder's heart to be slightly flustered. This was because Qian Hailong's expression looked as though he was about to go to the execution ground. This made people extremely nervous and worried. Finally, the two of them met Li Zongjie and Li Yun in the courtyard where Li Zongjie was resting. At the beginning, Li Yun was also fiddling with a few stones in the courtyard. After Qian Hailong saw them, he asked Li Yun respectfully. This was because he wasn't clear about Li Yun's identity. If he spoke carelessly and offended her, wouldn't it be troublesome? Why are you looking for my brother? Li Yun looked at the two of them curiously. You are from the Qian family, right? Why do I find your name familiar? Ah, right. Just now Zongjie said that you are from the Qian family. You came tonight. You have a good relationship. Immediately, Li Yun sized up Qian Hailong and Qian Hailong. Li Zhongjiu didn't mention the matters of the Qian family to Li Yun. After all, these were trivial matters, and there was no need to explain so much. This it's hard to say. Qian Hailong smiled awkwardly. It was impossible for them to be friends. Li Zhongjiu did such a thing to the Qian family. How could they still be friends? But if they were enemies, wouldn't that be courting death? Why are you guys here? Li Zhongjiu heard the commotion outside, and also walked out. Originally, he wanted to use his mental power to search around to see if there were any clues. It would be best if he could find some clues to find the King of Fire. Although he had severely injured the other party today. However, it was inevitable that Sky Shaman would have some other hidden means. In short, the longer King of Fire remained in his hands, the more danger he would be in. Just as he was about to make a move, he saw Qian Hailong and the others approaching. Elderly, it's been a long time since we last saw you. We've heard that you're here, so we came to see if there's anything we can do for you. We've been waiting for you for a long time. When Qian Hailong saw Li Zhongjiu, he suddenly felt familiar with Li Zhongjiu, which made Li Zhongjiu think that he and Qian Hailong were very familiar with each other, and that they had a good relationship. That's a little too much. If you have something to say it. Li Zhongjiu frowned. Looking at Qian Hailong's face, which was full of flattery, he didn't look like a family head at all. He looked like a shameless flatterer. Even the elders couldn't stand it anymore. Boss, you're the family head of Heichu Royal City's Qian family. However, in front of Li Zhongjiu, he was willing to become a flatterer. It was hard to believe that such a scene would happen. However, Qian Hailong didn't think that there was any problem. What are you talking about? Elderly, there's no need to be so polite with me. Haifu, let elderly take a look. Qian Hailong said. Qian Haifu also walked up and handed over the storage ring in his hand to Li Zhongjiu. Li Zhongjiu glanced at Qian Hailong. You're quite smart. Li Zhongjiu took the storage ring and realized that other than money, there were many precious items in it. There were some precious jade and protective amulets, all of which were of high quality. The protective amulet's effect was obvious. As long as one wore it, once one's body was locked on, and the threat exceeded one's limit, it would be triggered. Or one could trigger it on their own. If one could bring more protective amulets with them, they would have more time to save their lives. Of course, in front of a real expert, it was best not to think about such things. They could take your life in a matter of minutes. There were a few items that showed Qian Hailong's sincerity. If one didn't have money, they wouldn't have been able to get these items. They looked good. At least Li Zhongjiu was satisfied. Of course, what made Li Zhongjiu the most satisfied was the latter's attitude. He took the initiative to apologize, and even brought such valuable gifts. With such a sincere attitude, even if Li Zhongjiu wanted to teach him a lesson, he couldn't do it. Have a seat. Li Zhongjiu said straightforwardly. Since the other party was so sincere, and even gave him so many valuable gifts, it was only natural that he had to treat him well. Qian Hailong and Qian Hailong sat down a little bashfully. They felt a little restrained before Li Zhongjiu, as if they were children. Qian Hailong was the family leader of the Qian family. Over the years, as the great elder of the Qian family, he had seen a lot of things and had seen a lot of things. However, before Li Zhongjiu, his presence was severely lacking. Elderly, the matter of the family leader of ancient Zong was arranged by Qian Tianding. It has nothing to do with the Qian family. We've already cancelled the deal many times, but the ancient Zong family refused to accept it no matter what. They even increased the price. Don't you think that they've gone overboard? When Qian Hailong mentioned the matter, he was very angry. Go back now and use the resources of the Qian family to help me find a force of power called Wuxian. If you find him, we'll let bygones be bygones. Li Zhongjiu said. When he heard the words let bygones be bygones, Qian Hailong immediately shuddered. He could not believe that there was such a good thing in the world. Elderly, don't worry. Leave this to the Qian family. We'll do it right away. Once Qian Hailong found an excuse, he stood up and said that. Then he left without stopping. The speed at which he walked was simply astounding. Why do these people look like they're running away? Li Yun could not help but ask. She had wanted to make some tea, but by the looks of it, there was no need for that. I don't know either. These people's clothes don't look like simple people. How did you get to know them? The last time I came, I dismissed their family leader and let this person take over. Li Zongjio said faintly. When she heard Li Zongjio's words, Li Yun widened her eyes in disbelief. Aren't you being too nosy? You even want to meddle in the family leader's affairs? Later on, Li Yun found out that the Qian family was one of the top 10 family clans in the Black Canal Royal City. Furthermore, it was one of the top families in terms of strength. Even a person with such strength appeared in such a state in front of Li Zongjio. Li Yun could not help but exclaim in amazement. Just as Li Zongjio was using all his forces to search for news of Wu Shan and the King of Fire, 10,000 miles away from the Li Fire sect, there was a city that was leaning on the edge of a volcano. This city should have been very lively, or at least a little bit lively. However, at this moment, the city was dead silent. There was no sign of life. The city's surrounding walls had several array formations set up. These array formations were resonating with each other. They formed a large force that enveloped the entire city, preventing any external forces from approaching it. Furthermore, the entire city was hidden. Unless one personally came to the city, it was impossible to find the city using any other method. It was as if the city had disappeared from its original spot, as if it had been hidden by a great divine power. Dozens of black-robed men stood in the middle of the city, guarding against their surroundings. And the person they were guarding was a red-haired woman dressed in a red robe. The 18 chains bound the red-haired woman, and a surge of power flowed through the chains and into the red-haired woman's body. It was this constant suppression that allowed them to control the King of Fire's strength. The King of Fire's face was pale, but his eyes were abnormally resolute. He had seen all sorts of situations over the years, so this bit of pain was nothing. Soul Incineration Array. The King of Fire looked down. At this moment, she was sitting in the Soul Incineration Array. She was trapped in the Soul Incineration Array. The King of Fire also had a lot of time to think. He recalled the happy times he had in the sacred Fire Royal City. The Fire Wraith King's entire life was empty. He couldn't find anything to do. He had an infinite lifespan and power that kept increasing. Out of boredom, he created the world of order in the underground black market. Only when she was with Li Zongjio would she be able to leave a deep impression on her. Everyone has their own destiny. This is my destiny. The King of Fire looked up into the sky. It extended beyond the endless firmament. Chapter 1078. Intelligence from all sides was constantly circulating. Very quickly, someone discovered that something was amiss. If it was any other time, it would be really difficult to discover. However, this time, the Qian family could be said to have used all of their strength. They were not willing to give up even the slightest clue. Finally, he found something that wasn't quite right. After sending someone to investigate, Qian Hailong immediately sent someone to deliver this information to Li Zongjio. Feiyue City? This city is quite remote, and very few people will pay attention to it because there are no resources here, and the surrounding volcanoes can erupt at any time. Therefore, there are not many people in the city, and there is relatively little cooperation with the outside world. Wan Yulan replied. After Li Zongjio received this information, he directly went to Wan Yulan and asked Wan Yulan to give him a certain answer. But now, it seemed that it was most likely in this place. Looks like this is their hiding place. How audacious of them to take control of an entire city. How arrogant. Li Zongjio's eyes flashed with a cold light. You mean they might have occupied a city? Even Wan Yulan was shocked by Li Zongjio's speculation. Such behavior was almost provoking the Haika dynasty and Black Canal Basilica. Although the Black Canal Basilica was a group of shameless and greedy people, it was precisely because of the Black Canal Basilica's greed that others could not take away half of the benefits from their hands. Unless there was no other choice, there was no way to defeat them. It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. Li Zongjio said. I'll go there myself. I'll go too. Li Yun stood up and said. If the other party has occupied the city, they must have set up a defensive formation. Maybe they have already dealt with Black Canal Basilica. Okay, just don't talk too much. The two of them were about to set off again. Wan Yulan quickly said, I'll send someone to help you. There's no need to trouble yourself. If there's really a situation, even if your people go, they won't be able to help. Li Zongjie said. Even if Wan Yulan went in person, she might not be able to help. Immediately, Li Zongjie and Yi Qingyu boarded the Eagle battleship and soared into the sky. Boom! Many experts caught sight of this figure. Everyone gasped in surprise. The speed of this silhouette was incomparably fast. Even primitive emperors could not catch up to it. It would require at least primitive emperors to catch up to it. Immediately, the attention of the Marquis of Brave Thousand Marquis Manor rose. Everyone was staring at the Marquis of Brave Thousand Marquis Manor. Clearly, the Marquis of Brave Thousand Marquis Manor was about to stir up trouble. They had already contacted many forces in the imperial court. Clearly, under the imperial court's instructions, they had begun to gather their forces. Even the military power in the north and south had been shaken. Gradually they closed in on King City. They had even contacted many forces in the underworld secretly. A storm was gradually brewing. Black Canal Basilica had already noticed this long ago. However, they were not in a hurry to deal with Marquis residents of Brave Marquis. After all, there were so many things to do now. They did not have the time to deal with them for the time being. Once they were done with this, they would let Marquis residents of Brave Marquis and the people in the royal family know. Feudal resistance was futile. The Eagle battleship was extremely fast. When Li Yan inspected it, she found that the battleship was a little worn out. Obviously, the quality of the materials was still not enough. In addition, the rate of wear and tear was a little high recently, which led to such a situation. Whoosh! Just as the battleship was about to fly near Feiyue City, a strong light suddenly swept over from afar. Wang! The defensive shield automatically opened and resisted the attack. At the same time, the Eagle battleship shook violently. We've been attacked. The direction of the attack is from that city. Li Yan said. Return the favor. Li Zongjie said faintly. This was a little arrogant. They actually dared to take the initiative to attack Li Zongjie. Although Li Yan was the only pilot and could not enter a combat state, it was not a problem for her to release 1 or 2 attacks. From the Eagle battleship, a cannonball was suddenly fired. This cannonball was a kind of powerful offensive weapon provided by the Song family. Once it was released, the shockwave of the explosion would affect the area within 100 miles. It was called the Shaker. Boom! The vibrator exploded in an instant. Li Yan was not careless either. When she attacked, she did not hold back at all. But when this horrifying power spread out, however, when the shockwave spread out, the two of them were surprised to find that there seemed to be a transparent energy curtain in the sky above Feiyue City. It blocked the shockwave that was full of destructive power just now. Li Zongjie frowned. It's a formation. After Li Yan analyzed the situation, she immediately exclaimed in surprise. At the same time, she carefully observed the structure and effect of the formation. Immediately, a trace of shock flashed in her eyes. It's a level 7 formation, Emperor's Prison. This is a trap formation. A level 7 formation. Wouldn't that mean that only an utmost exalted level expert would be able to break through it? Was he really that arrogant? He actually used such a powerful cultivation in formations to create a trapping formation instead of a killing formation. Are they trying to trap someone? Immediately, Li Zongjie released his mental strength to check it out. However, he was directly blocked by a force. Even Li Zongjie's mental strength could not break through. It must be here. After searching for so long, he finally found it. Immediately, Li Zongjie rushed out with the hammer without hesitation. He flew to the sky above the city. Looking in from the outside, he could not see anything. Break! Facing the protective shield below, Li Zongjie swung the black dragon hammer in his hand. He directly smashed it down. Boom! The destructive power was released, but it just kept rolling around the protective shield. The power spread out and was directly absorbed by the shield. It can't be broken? Before Li Zongjie could recover from his shock, he already felt the power transmitted from the protective shield. It almost sent Li Zongjie flying. This was the power released by Li Zongjie just now. All of it was fed back to Li Zongjie. Immediately, Li Zongjio retreated quickly and landed back on the Eagle battleship. This formation can't be attacked by force. Wait for a while, I'll find their weakness, Li Yan said quickly. Li Zongjio looked at Li Yan in surprise. Previously she said that this was a 7th level formation. However, since Li Yan said so, Li Zongjio believed that Li Yan could do it. In Feiyue City, in response to the sudden uninvited guests, the black-clothed men in the city immediately gathered. Except for the 22 men guarding the King of Fire, the rest gathered on the city wall. Separated by the defensive formation, they observed Li Zongjio and the others. The fluctuations just now directly consumed 1/10 of the formation's energy. Therefore, they could not let Li Zongjio continue to attack. Kill them. There were nearly 30 black-clothed experts present. They were gathering their strength at the same time. Under the overlapping power of several people, this power directly gushed out. Boom! Several rays of light broke through the defense and blasted toward Li Zongjio and the Eagle warship. Li Zongjio directly shook his body and turned into a golden light. The golden Yuan dragon protected his body, and the huge Yuan dragon easily blocked these energy attacks. At the same time, Li Zongjio also gave the other party an appropriate counterattack. If they kept waiting in place, sooner or later, the other party would find an opportunity and then break through in one fell swoop. The golden dragon's true spirit kept hitting the protective shield, bringing invisible pressure to the people under the shield. It kept attracting the firepower. Li Yan did not let Li Zongjio down. There, attack the side with all your strength. That's the weakest part of the defensive shield. Li Zongjio had almost pulled out the moment Li Yan spoke, and his figure instantly rushed to the front. Purple heavenly thunder. Receiving the power of heaven and earth, the black dragon hammer immediately erupted with a terrifying aura. The thunder clouds in the sky condensed and changed, and suddenly, a purple thunderbolt fell from the sky. Boom! As soon as the attack landed, the defensive barrier in front of him was immediately shattered. Even the people in the city did not expect this. Their defensive barrier had been destroyed so quickly. King of Fire. The moment Li Zongjio split open the defensive shield, he roared toward the city. His voice was like countless thunderbolts exploding above the city, echoing without anyone noticing. The exhausted King of Fire opened his eyes just as he was about to faint. He was ready to give up struggling. However, when the Fire Wraith King heard this voice, it was as if a new life force had been injected into him, instantly waking him up. Li Zongjio. The King of Fire called out in his heart, thinking that he had misheard. In the next moment, a mental power swept across the King of Fire's body. The King of Fire's body trembled slightly. It was Li Zongjio. Chapter 1079. Almost instantly, Li Zongjio had already locked onto the King of Fire's figure. He finally found him. When they saw Li Zongjio's actions, the dozens of black-robed men in front of him also took out their weapons. They were all strange weapons, and directly rushed towards Li Zongjio. Boom! The black-robed men besieged Li Zongjio one after another. Everyone's strength was at the level of Primitive Emperor, and the strongest 3 of them had reached the peak of Primitive Emperor realm. The rest were basically at the mid-stage or late-stage Primitive Emperor realm. Dozens of terrifying auras closed in on Li Zongjio, trying to force Li Zongjio down. Get out of my way! These experts in front of him were obviously Wu Tian's subordinates. Boom! After a head-on clash, these people in front of him were also quickly defeated. However, the remaining people were also quite desperate. This kind of fighting style was basically as if they didn't care about their lives. They directly rushed towards Li Zongjio. However, in the face of absolute power, no matter how many there were, it was futile. Blood Dragon Soul. Li Zongjio didn't have time to be entangled with these people here. He activated the power of his original spirit and advanced triumphantly, completely defeating the people in front of him. Boom! Boom! Many black-robed men's figures flew out one after another. After falling to the ground, they directly lost their combat power. Trap him! The 3-peak Primitive Emperor realm experts were extremely troublesome. They resisted the power of Li Zongjio's original spirit, and they also formed hand seals. The stone slabs of the houses below began to vibrate with their movements. They all rushed towards Li Zongjiu. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the blink of an eye, these stones and bricks wrapped in original spirit directly trapped Li Zongjiu within, unable to break free. Trying to trap me. Li Zongjiu was trapped by this stone formation. Immediately, a burst of power suddenly erupted. Li Zongjiu's fists continuously bombarded the bricks in front of him. Bang! The other party's binding technique was instantly shattered. Buddha Palm. Gui Lu Yen. The three black-clothed experts simultaneously released their essence force, and within their essence force was a terrifying flame. Gui Lu Yen? Playing with fire in front of your grandfather? A bunch of idiots. Li Zongjiu immediately let out a cold snort. He took the lead with the Buddha palm, sending one of them flying with a single palm strike. At the same time, he executed sky-reaching flame, suppressing the flowing ghost flame that the three of them had unleashed. He lightly flung the flowing ghost flame into the distance, causing it to wrap around the incoming flowing ghost flames. After making a circle, it flew back. So, when one of them saw the flames, he actually turned around and flew back. He was stunned for a moment. In the next second, he was surrounded by flames. His body was instantly incinerated. Seeing that something was amiss, the remaining person also flew towards the center of the city. Now that all the people around him had been killed, even if he continued to stay here, he would not be a match for Li Zongjiu. Now, only the 22 masters guarding the King of Fire were left. Li Zongjiu immediately chased after him. When the other party was about to land, he was directly caught by Li Zongjiu. When he was in mid-air, he was directly torn in half. Fresh blood splattered in the air. I told you not to run around. Look, you made me look for you for half a day. When Li Zongjiu saw that the King of Fire was still safe and sound, he also breathed a sigh of relief. What he was most afraid of was that when Li Zongjiu found the King of Fire, the latter would already be a corpse. In that case, even if he killed all these people, it would be useless. I thought you wouldn't come. The King of Fire also said faintly. She had only left for less than half a year. Li Zongjiu's growth speed was really terrifying. In less than half a year, he had grown to such a level. With this momentum, even if she wanted to defeat Li Zongjiu, it would not be easy. Li Zongjiu's gaze fell on the chains that trapped the King of Fire. His eyes suddenly became extremely cold. You guys are really bold. Don't leave today. Come together. Li Zongjiu said lightly. The remaining 22 masters were responsible for guarding the King of Fire, so they did not participate in the attack formation or the battle in the city. Now that they saw Li Zongjiu, they took the initiative to meet him. It seemed that if they wanted to take the King of Fire away, they would have to kill Li Zongjiu. Two of them were still sitting on the steps, motionless. The remaining 20 people lined up and rushed towards Li Zongjiu. The 20 people burst out with their aura. The whole world shook violently. It was as if an indomitable giant had appeared. Its vast aura was like a mountain pressing down on Li Zongjiu. Dragon Soul. Boom. The golden dragon original spirit burst out instantly. It used its huge body to resist the tyrannical aura in front of it. It was full of overbearing aura. Roar. Then, the golden dragon original spirit moved violently and crazily hit the mountain that was condensed by the aura. Boom. The aura condensed by the 20-peak origin emperors was instantly broken. As for the golden dragon Yuan spirit, it had also dimmed a little. However, its aura was still soaring to the heavens. This crushing force was enough to make people palpitate. However, the 20 people were unmoved. The black-clothed experts revealed their figures and attacked Li Zongjiu. An earth-shattering elemental energy attack, along with countless energy waves, descended upon Li Zongjiu. The Yuan force in Li Zongjiu's hand vibrated. The black dragon hammer smashed out suddenly. Immediately, the terrifying thunderbolt force rushed out. However, the opponent's reaction was extremely fast. The power of the 20 people was instantly strung together. They actually took the initiative to break down the thunderbolt force of the hammer. They blocked Li Zongjiu's hammer and came out unscathed. Blood Soul Hell. It was always a waste of time to be surprised in a battle. It was all some useless actions. Only by killing people would there be enough time to make other expressions. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu directly summoned the Blood Soul Hell and enveloped the 20 black-clothed experts. Boom! The 20 people were immediately drawn into the Blood Soul Hell. Obviously, these people weren't easy to deal with. They started to attack the Blood Soul Hell in an orderly and organized manner. Do you really think that I can't do anything to you? The ancient demon clan that was subdued in Qingyuan Villa had long become the blood demon of the Blood Soul Hell. At this moment they revealed their figures. Together with the life and death servant from before, they were all refined by Li Zhongjiu. Many forces entangled the 20 black-clothed experts in front of him. At the same time, the Blood Dragon original spirit also came out to take charge. Li Zhongjiu took the time to severely injure one of them, and then retreated from the Blood Soul Hell. At this moment, there were only 2 people in front of him. Be careful. These 2 people have thought it through, and their cultivation has reached the first-grade sovereign realm. Chapter 1080. King of Fire reminded him. Li Zhongjiu's performance just now also surprised King of Fire. He had made such a breakthrough in such a short time. However, he still had to be careful when facing these 2 enemies who had figured out their heart acupoints. Li Zhongjiu also noticed that the state of the 2 people in front of him was different. Even the movements and aura of their movements were very similar. It could even be said that they were exactly the same. Immediately, the 2 people drew their swords at the same time. They slashed towards Li Zhongjiu with their swords. Although the 2 people attacked at the same time, it seemed as if there was only one sword. The sword swept over. The black dragon hammer in Li Zhongjiu's hand turned into a wild dragon and smashed towards the 2 people. Originally, this sword chi was going to rush towards Li Zhongjiu. At this moment, seeing Li Zhongjiu attack, it also adjusted the sword chi to collide with Li Zhongjiu's black dragon hammer. Unexpectedly, the black dragon hammer turned into a black dragon and easily avoided the sword chi of the 2 people, rolling towards one of them. Boom! The black dragon hammer instantly rolled up the other person's body, which was equivalent to giving the latter a close-range hit. It directly sent the person flying. Boom! Li Zhongjiu was also hit by the 2 sword chi at the same time. However, the golden dragon original spirit was behind him and easily defended against this move. In fact, it only looked easy on the surface. The real force that he had to bear was quite huge. The golden body protection dragon pattern on the surface of his body also faintly showed signs of cracking. If the heavy blow just now came a few more times, it was very likely that Li Zhongjiu's defense would be broken. Of course, Li Zhongjiu was injured, and the other people were definitely not any better. A black dragon directly rolled one of them hundreds of meters away, and finally smashed into the ground with a bang. An extremely terrifying fluctuation erupted. The person in the ruins was still pressed down by a hammer. It seemed that it would be difficult for him to get up for a long time. Schwa! The other person did not go to the rescue. In their estimation, Li Zhongjiu was already seriously injured and was now an arrow at the end of its flight. As long as they applied a little more pressure, he would definitely break. Boom! Just as the sword was about to strike, Li Zhongjiu also let out a low roar. He stretched out his hands and grabbed at his opponent's sword. The sword chi surged, and the huge sword chi kept attacking Li Zhongjiu's hands. Just as the 2 sides were in a deadlock, Li Zhongjiu's body suddenly felt a strong surge of energy. He quickly added in. Li Zhongjiu immediately sneered and increased the strength of his hands, easily destroying the latter's weapon. Clang! The sword in his hand was broken. Li Zhongjiu also struck out with the Buddha's palm when his opponent's palm struck out. Bang bang! Both of them were hit by each other's palm at almost the same time. Li Zhongjiu's body shook, and energy kept coming in. This was the Blood Soul Hell, which was refining the black-clothed people. Compared to Li Zhongjiu's body, it only shook a little. On the other hand, the opponent's body was directly shattered by this palm. Puff! Only his head was left intact, and it fell from the sky. The remaining person also struggled to get out of the black dragon hammer's entanglement. When he saw that his companion had been beaten to such a state, he couldn't help but sigh. Suddenly, a cold light flashed in his eyes. What he did was not continue to attack Li Zhongjiu, but rushed to the front of King of Fire's formation. Then his body quickly collided, and he actually wanted to explode his origin energy. You're courting death. Li Zhongjiu directly used his mental energy to wrap the person in front of him and instantly transported him tens of thousands of meters away. The moment he withdrew his mental energy, a loud bang suddenly came from tens of thousands of meters away. Suddenly, there was a chaotic impact in his mind, and he took a few steps back. Although his body was shaking, he still stood firm in the end. You're really ruthless. Li Zhongjiu shook his head and could not help but say. King of Fire looked at Li Zhongjiu in surprise. He did not expect Li Zhongjiu's strength to be so strong. Your strength has improved quite fast. Back then, when the Fire Wraith King caught Li Zhongjiu in his domain, the latter had a vigilant look on his face. But now Li Zhongjiu's strength was enough to defeat her easily. How do I break this thing? Li Zhongjiu's face was a little pale. After all, it was the self-detonation of a Supreme Being realm expert. Although he was instantly transported tens of thousands of meters away, his mental energy could not escape so quickly. Even if it was only a little bit, it would affect his entire mental energy. After swallowing a qi-calming elixir, Li Zhongjiu adjusted his mental energy slightly, and it relieved the pain in his mind. Master! Li Yan also descended from the sky. She did not stay idle just now, and also destroyed several formations in the city. The surrounding array formations were also quite dangerous. Therefore, Li Yan also directly destroyed the formations when there was a gap. If the opponent condensed the formations again, and the big formation was activated, the consequences would be unimaginable if there was an expert guarding it. Fortunately, it went smoothly. This is the soul-burning formation. When Li Yan saw the King of Fire, she was excited and looked at the formation in front of her. The surrounding soul-burning pillars were quite obvious. Yes, it's the soul-burning formation. The King of Fire said. Li Zhongjiu looked at the surrounding pillars, and there were alternating black and red colors on them. This is the soul-burning pillar, a formation that is specially used to refine the souls of sovereigns for one's own use. It is a formation that can even forcefully extract a person's soul. It is quite cruel. Li Yan took a deep breath and said. She knew in her heart that the King of Fire must be in great pain, at all times, for such a vicious formation. The red color is Master's spiritual energy. If the red color on these 8 soul-burning pillars reaches the top, Master's soul will be completely separated from his body. Li Yan looked at Li Zhongjiu and said. Li Zhongjiu frowned, looking at the soul-burning pillars. How about we just break them? No, that won't do. If that's the case, Master's soul will become a dead soul. Li Yan quickly shook her head and said. The only way is for me to break the formation. But it will take me at least 7 days. If I can't break the formation in 7 days, Master will not be able to hold on. The King of Fire looked at the two of them. It's good enough that I can see you. Go ahead. The soul-burning formation is a level 9 formation. Li Yan, with your strength, it is not enough for you to understand it. The King of Fire said softly. Level 9 formation. Li Zhongjiu's heart sank to the bottom. Although they had found the Fire Wraith King, they still couldn't rescue him from the formation. No, there must be a way. Li Zhongjiu would not give up. So what if it is a level 9 formation? Since Li Yan can't break it, I will go and catch a level 9 formation master. If Li Yan could not break it, there would naturally be others who could. But at the moment, they had to protect the King of Fire. Give me 3 days. 3 days later, I will definitely bring him here. Even if I have to catch Wu Tian, I will definitely save you. Chapter 1081. Li Zhongjiu was extremely determined. At this moment, it was undoubtedly dangerous for the King of Fire to stay here. However, Li Zhongjiu had no choice but to leave the King of Fire here for the time being. At the same time, he had Li Yan stay behind to look after him. At the same time, Li Zhongjiu was also searching in his mind. Where could there be a level 9 array master? Li Zhongjiu used his mental strength as a fulcrum and directly pierced through the space in front of him. Using this method, he achieved the effect of teleportation. Juhua sect. This was the largest sect in the vicinity. If he were to fly back to the Black Chu Imperial City, it would take a lot of time. Therefore, Li Zhongjiu directly threw a knife at the Juhua sect. At this moment, the Jihua sect's mountain gate was split in half. The sect master had just come out of seclusion. Faced with this, the two grand elders had no way to explain themselves. The sect master of the Jihua sect was even more enraged. He immediately gave the order to remove the two grand elders from their positions and put them in solitary confinement. Those who knew about the situation all pleaded for mercy. Naturally, they couldn't be blamed for this. All right, enough. Even the mountain gate has been split into this state. How can you still have the face to speak? Boom! A muffled thunder-like sound came from the sky. Then, a domineering aura blasted into the newly built hall. Who dares to barge into my Jihua sect's main hall? The Jihua sect master was enraged. Barging in like this was clearly a rebellion. How could he let the intruder leave safely? No matter who you are, I'll take you down first. It's evil lord. The two grand elders saw Li Zongjiu's figure. It was so familiar that he actually appeared in front of them. They were just talking about Li Zongjiu, and Li Zongjiu appeared. It was unbelievable. Could it be that Li Zongjiu had been loitering nearby all this time? So you're that evil lord? How dare you destroy my sect? Today, as the sect master of the Jihua sect, I'm going to... Bang! Li Zongjiu stepped forward and punched him in the face. Instantly, the head of the Jihua sect master was sent flying. Bang! Blood immediately gushed out from the broken neck. He was the sect master of the Jihua sect. A 6th-stage primitive emperor expert. He had actually lost his life to Evil Lord's punch. He didn't have any strength to fight back. This was where Li Zongjiu's strength lay. If he wanted to kill someone, Li Zongjiu had always been straightforward, without any superfluous words. With the death of the sect leader, the scene immediately quieted down. Everyone looked at Li Zongjiu. Looking at the dead sect leader, he sucked in a breath of cold air. I don't want to hear any more nonsense. Li Zongjiu's murderous aura was very strong. As soon as he said this, everyone didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They all stood there quietly, waiting for Li Zongjiu's question. I want you to provide me with the information and name list of all level 7 to level 9 array masters. Li Zongjiu said calmly. Speaking of these sects, the first thing they had to do was to train their disciples to have the ability to recognize experts. After all, they were all in this line of work. If they didn't recognize those experts and accidentally offended them, then the consequences would be very tragic. For example, if they encountered Evil Lord, the outcome would be obvious. However, this Evil Lord had only become famous for a short while, so he wasn't included in the list. Therefore, it wasn't popularized so quickly. This was because these people who suddenly became famous often had a high chance of dying quickly. Therefore, not to mention the entire continent, there were only a few experts in the entire dynasty. Although they didn't know why Li Zongjiu was in such a hurry to find these qualified array masters. Now that even the sect leader had been killed by him, they naturally had to get things done quickly. Originally, the two supreme elders were a little afraid of Li Zongjiu. However, after Li Zongjiu killed the sect leader, who had indiscriminately put them in confinement, they felt a lot better. Therefore, it was better not to be too arrogant. It was best to keep a low profile as much as possible. Go and bring the recently updated Hall of Fame here. One of the supreme elders hurriedly said. Take the body away. Since the sect leader has unfortunately passed away, the great elder will temporarily take over the sect's affairs. After the new sect leader is elected, the handover will be done. Go and pour some tea. The great elder quickly poured a cup of tea for Li Zongjiu. However, Li Zongjiu didn't drink it. He just stood there quietly. Every second seemed so long, making people feel incomparable torment. After a while, someone immediately came over with a jade scroll. The Hall of Fame was also the information collected by these people about some extremely famous experts in the underworld. Among them were extraordinary top experts. Lord Evil Lord, they are all here. According to the information we have collected so far, there doesn't seem to be any level 9 array masters. However, there are 2 level 8 array masters. As for level 7 array masters, there are 6 of them. Level 6 array masters were enough to deal with primitive emperors. However, there were also differences in strength. Level 7 array masters were equivalent to the supremacy realm. However, In order to truly block a Supremacy Realm expert, a level 8 Array Master was needed. After all, there was no Supremacy Realm in the Array Master realm. Therefore, level 8 and level 9 Array Masters corresponded to mid-stage and late-stage Supremacy Realm experts. If it were in the Xingyan dynasty, there probably wouldn't be a single level 8 Array Master. Even the King of Fire was only a level 7 Array Master. He could barely be considered a level 8 Array Master. In the previous array, although Li Yun could find the array's weakness, she didn't have the ability to break the array. Therefore, Li Yun's strength should be at level 5 or level 6. For ordinary people, such a result was enough to be proud of. However, in the Heike dynasty it was very mediocre. Oh right, I remember that we received news that a level 8 Array Master will arrive in Johua City in a few days. He seems to be here for the Demon Suppression Ruins. The first elder suddenly remembered and slapped his thigh. Li Zhongjiu immediately looked at the first elder. The first elder slapped his thigh. He actually forgot such an important matter. It was mainly because Li Zhongjiu gave him too much pressure. Li Zhongjiu directly released his spiritual energy. Immediately, he scanned everyone in Johua City and obtained all kinds of information from them in a domineering manner. Everyone felt like they had been seen through by him. If they had any equipment that could defend against spiritual energy attacks, it would be instantly shattered by the opponent's spiritual energy. The jade ornaments hanging on their bodies shattered without them realizing it. Some people even broke out in a cold sweat. If this person wanted to kill them, it would only take a thought to do it. His life was actually so worthless. After scanning the entire city, Li Zhongjiu determined from the aura that one of the people had. This person's spiritual energy was extremely powerful, at least not weaker than Li Zhongjiu's. When Li Zhongjiu's spiritual energy came over, this person's spiritual energy was very strong. It was obvious that this person wanted to fight with Li Zhongjiu. Is it an old man who likes to wear flowery clothes? Li Zhongjiu asked. Yes, that's right. This is his style. His nickname is Thousand Flower Elder. He's very good at trapping arrays. Lord Evil Lord, you have to be careful. Seeing Li Zhongjiu's attitude, it seemed like he wanted to become the enemy of all the array masters in the world. Therefore, the first elder couldn't help but say this. Li Zhongjiu's figure suddenly flew out. Meanwhile, in a tavern in the city, an old man wearing a flowery long robe was hugging his left and right. This was a place for drinking wine. Beside the old man was an old friend of many years who was drinking wine with him. Suddenly, the old man's eyes lit up, and the person beside him instantly became alert. What's going on? The middle-aged man in black couldn't help but ask. What he felt just now was definitely not an illusion. Someone really scanned their bodies and wanted to use spiritual energy to investigate them. In terms of spiritual energy, there were only a few people in the entire Heike dynasty who could be compared to the old man in flowery robe beside him. I don't know where this scoundrel came from. How dare he spy on me? Thousand Flower Elder couldn't help but sneer. How could he not know what level he was at? He actually wanted to show off his slight skill in front of an expert. It was simply stupid. Boom! A large hole was blasted in the roof of the house, and a figure instantly landed in front of the two of them. The surrounding women were so scared that they screamed and fled in all directions. These women who accompanied them to drink often had to practice such skills. When they saw that the situation was not good, they immediately wanted to escape. Disturbing my mood will be the stupidest thing you've ever done in your life. The thousand-flower old man shook his head and said earnestly, Myriad Sword Chi. The middle-aged man in black beside him leaped, and a terrifying sword chi swept towards Li Zhongjiu. It turned out to be a 9th-grade primitive emperor expert. Li Zhongjiu carried the hammer, and without saying a word, his figure flashed and rushed in front of the middle-aged man in black, allowing the sword chi to hit his body. He was unscathed. Now that Li Zhongjiu's ancient golden body was able to reach the attack of a supreme-level expert, this primitive emperor expert was nothing in his eyes. Boom! The hammer fell, directly breaking the hand of the primitive emperor swordsman, who had been roaming the underworld for many years. His figure flew out in an instant, penetrated by the power of thunder and lightning. He fell to the ground unconscious. Daoist Qianhua quickly took out a formation disc. Even his old friend wasn't his match, not even able to block a single move. However, Li Zongjiu had already clasped the other's wrist. A fist bombarded the other's chest. Yuan Li instantly covered the other's body, sealing the latter's strength directly. Chapter 1082. Who are you? What do you want? The thousand-flower old man did not expect that his old friend of many years would be sent flying with one move. At the same time, he did not even have the chance to display his skills. He was directly subdued by the person who came. Who exactly was this person? When the thousand-flower old man was young and impetuous, he had indeed offended many people. However, as he became famous later, most of his enemies had been dealt with. Some of them had basically gone into hiding, or had come to bury the hatchet. Basically, no one was willing to be an enemy of the thousand-flower old man. The young man in front of him was quite unfamiliar. It could be said that he had never seen him before. However, Li Zongjiu did not say anything. He directly sent the thousand-flower old man into his blood-soul hell with one palm strike. The thousand-flower old man was trapped in the blood-soul hell. The next moment, Li Zongjiu's figure disappeared from where he stood. After Li Zongjiu left, the primitive emperor powerhouse lying on the ground suddenly moved his body. When he opened his eyes, he realized that the surroundings were already empty. Damn it! Who the hell is that person? How could he be so strong? Thousand Flower must have been captured by him. At the thought of this, the primitive emperor hurriedly sent people to search for the thousand-flower old man's traces. He mobilized all his energy, and a mysterious super-powerful young man rushed out for no reason. He had captured the person. There are not many people who can break my sword move in one move. Who the hell is this guy? In just 2 days, the formation masters on the list were all captured by Li Zongjiu. These people were basically unwilling to go out, and the formation they had meticulously arranged was in their own homes. At first, Thousand Flower had only come to see the situation and show her face, because she had received an invitation from a friend, who knew that she would be captured by Li Zongjiu as soon as she appeared. In the Heike dynasty, because these famous formation masters had all disappeared at almost the same time, a cloud of suspicion suddenly rose in the underworld of the Heike dynasty. What kind of terrifying force could do something like this? Moreover, why did they capture these array masters? Have you heard? The ancestor of the He clan of Jiangbei was taken away by force in his own territory. The old ancestor of the He clan? Could it be the legendary array master? That's right, that's him. I heard that the entire He clan's territory was destroyed. What kind of array formation was that? All of it was destroyed. In Jiuhua City, many people heard the news and whispered to each other. They told each other all the news that they had heard in order to gain attention. Sometimes they even exaggerated the news. Come on, big mouth. Whatever comes out of your mouth is basically not true. Like hell I'd believe you. Hey, I, Big Mouth Huang, may have exaggerated a little at other times, but this time, my news is very accurate. There is absolutely no exaggeration. I have definite news that the one who captured these array masters is the same person. His name is Evil Lord. Evil Lord. That 5-second guy. When Big Mouth Huang gave out such shocking news, everyone was shocked. Everyone present was extremely shocked. And some of them even hurriedly urged Big Mouth Huang to tell them everything he knew. With so much explosive news, how could he not share it? Sigh, I'm a little hungry. Big Mouth Huang touched his stomach. Immediately, someone ordered some chicken, duck and fish for Big Mouth Huang. It was just a small amount of money. When he saw the delicious food on the table, Big Mouth Huang wiped his mouth and began to eat. Just as Big Mouth Huang was eating, suddenly, he felt a few chilling auras lock onto him. The people around him couldn't help but look up. Fatty, who is this evil lord that you just mentioned? The person who walked closer. The person in front of him. If Li Zongjiu was here, he would definitely recognize him. This person was the expert swordsman, who had been sent flying by Li Zongjiu in a tavern a few days ago. It was no wonder that the other party was so unconvinced. He had been waiting in Jiuhua City with his brothers in order to find Li Zongjiu. However, after waiting for so long, he still hadn't seen Li Zongjiu. Today he just happened to hear someone talking about this matter, so he walked up directly. Big Mouth Huang looked at the 5 people in front of him. It was obvious that they were not to be trifled with. The aura on their bodies was an independent yet powerful aura. Even the surrounding people who were watching the show lowered their heads and left without looking back. They didn't want to be implicated. About this, I also heard this from a brother. Big Mouth Huang was so scared that the drumstick in his mouth fell off. What brother? Take me to him, and I won't make things difficult for you, Taiwan said indifferently, although he was defeated by Li Zongjio last time. When Taiwan looked back, he thought that the kid must have used some kind of protective treasure. That's why he was able to protect himself so well. Li Zongjio was able to block his sword, and then hit him, defeating him. Now the 4 experts by his side were all good friends, who had been practicing martial arts for many years. They were also the people who formed a team to explore the Demon Suppression Palace. It was just that they didn't keep an eye on them, and their array masters were taken away by someone else. If there weren't any array masters in this operation, it could be said to be very dangerous. A place like the Demon Suppression Palace must be full of killing arrays. That friend of mine is from Jihua sect, Big Mouth Huang said with a trembling voice. Under Taiwan's gaze, he was about to break down. At this moment, these missing array masters, all of them appeared in one place. Feiyue City. 7 figures stood in front of the soul-burning array. On the ground beside them, there was another person lying on the ground. His head had already been removed. The remaining 7 people all felt a sense of trepidation. They had seen Li Zongjio's methods in the past 2 days. They didn't know how many people he had killed. Without saying anything, he directly captured them. They didn't even know what was going on before they were captured and brought here. It was only after they were released that they realized why they had been captured. It was actually to break the array. To break the array? You should have said this earlier. Why did you have to fight and kill? You see, it was quite unpleasant. The dead man lying on the ground. He didn't do anything at all. Everyone had just stabilized themselves when Li Zongjio told them what had happened. In the end, he said that if they couldn't break the array, they would end up like him. Then, this person's head was directly removed. The rest of the people didn't even know what had happened. The dead man was called Xiaoyu. He was a 7th level array master. After all, the circle of array masters wasn't big. They had more or less interacted with each other. They could only watch as this familiar person died in front of them like grass. Everyone knew that Li Zongjio was vicious and merciless. It was definitely not a joke. Immediately, everyone began to obediently study the soul-burning array in front of them. Obviously, Li Zongjio was trying to save people. After observing the soul-burning array for a while, these array masters began to understand why Li Zongjio was in such a hurry to capture them. There wasn't much time left. If they couldn't get the person out, the soul of the woman in the array would dissipate. Even now, the King of Fire was gradually entering a state of unconsciousness. His perception of his surroundings was quite weak. Next, he would be forced to burn his own power. He had to accept the arrival of death. Among the 7 people, there were 2 people in the lead. One was Elder Qianhua. The other was Li Zongjio, who had spent a lot of effort to capture from a family. His name was He Juyang. Both of them were 8th level array masters. Moreover, they were quite familiar with each other, and had discussed it together for a period of time. They didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, they would fall into such a predicament. This is an ancient 9th level array, the soul-burning array. If these 8 soul-burning pillars reach the top, there will be no way to save them. It was a 7th level array master, who explained the mystery in front of them. Li Zongjio and Li Yan both looked at him. At least he could see that this was the soul-burning array. The others were slightly surprised when this person spoke. It turned out that this was the legendary soul-burning array. It was said that this array was extremely vicious. It was hard to believe. This person is called Yuan Tianshu. Li Yan looked at the list in her hand and whispered to Li Zongjio, "Can you break this array?" Li Zongjio nodded and then asked Yuan Tianshu. Chapter 1083. Given my strength, it'll take me at least half a year to comprehend this formation. Yuan Tianshu shook his head. No one can break this formation unless they have a level 9 cultivation base. Li Yun's face turned pale when she heard this, even though she knew it would end up like this. However, when these people confirmed it, her heart sank. A level 9 formation master. Not to mention whether Li Zongjio could find a way to find him. It was hard to say whether he could. Please forgive us. We can't help you even if you kill us, Yuan Tianshu said in a deep voice. Yuan Tianshu said in a deep voice. The others also looked at Li Zongjio. These people were equivalent to half of the formation masters in the Heike dynasty. Basically, all the masters that could be found were here. The existence of a level 9 formation master. Even they didn't know. If they didn't know, it was equivalent to not having a level 9 formation master. This made them feel very awkward. How should they explain this matter? There was simply no way to settle this matter. Zongjio, there's really no way, Li Yun said in a low voice. There seemed to be a slight tremble in her voice. She didn't dare to mention this matter, and quickly lowered her head. It wasn't easy for him to find his master. But now, he had to watch his master die in this damned array with his own eyes. Just thinking about it made her feel extremely uncomfortable. There was no way she could accept such an outcome. You're called Li Zongjio, right? We can't help you with this. Although you acted rashly this time, we won't pursue this matter for the time being since you were eager to save people. Thousand Flower Elder also said to Li Zongjio. After all, he was an 8th level formation master. He absolutely couldn't back down in this situation, let alone in front of so many people. He couldn't lose face. At the very least, he had to save his own face. Therefore, he directly walked out and said this. In that case, Li Zongjio said slowly. He let out a heavy sigh, and then looked at the 7 people in front of him. The 7 of them widened their eyes. Could it be that this brat wanted to let them go? Knowing that this matter was too difficult, he had no choice but to give up. Li Zongjio could be considered tactful if he just let them leave. Otherwise, after a long time, their subordinates would definitely track them down. At that time, they would know what pain was. Various armies would come to kill them. Even if they had 3 heads and 6 arms, they would not be able to fight against so many people. When everyone was here, he would definitely teach Li Zongjio a lesson. Therefore, Old Man Qianhua and the others secretly memorized the faces of Li Zongjio and Li Yun. Since they wanted to be enemies with them, and even offended them, they couldn't just ignore it. Since you can't do anything about it, I'll have to trouble you. Li Zongjio raised his head and looked at the array masters in front of him. Immediately, a sense of crisis surged in their hearts. What did Li Zongjio want to do? Could it be that he wanted to attack them? What do you want to do? Brat, I advise you not to mess around. Otherwise, you and your family will not have a good life. Old Man Qianhua roared at Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio was clearly going to do something. Li Zongjio's figure flickered, and each of them landed a palm strike on their bodies. Puffed! They spat out blood and flew out. In the next moment, Li Zongjio directly put the 7 figures into the spiritual hell. Roar! In the spiritual hell, the white dragon true spirit was hovering in the sky. When the 7 figures entered, it opened its mouth and roared. Immediately, a terrifying roar swept out. Spiritual domain. Someone can condense the legendary spiritual domain. Yi Juyang exclaimed. Indeed, there was actually someone who could condense a spiritual domain. This was truly shocking. Once the spiritual domain was condensed, it could be said that it was equivalent to an absolute guarantee for one's mind power. Even if one's mind power was severely damaged by someone in the outside world, it could be repaired in time in the spiritual domain. Moreover, in the spiritual domain, unless the opponent's mind power was stronger than yours, it would be very difficult to break out. This was what surprised He Juyang and the others. But now it seemed that it was not a good thing for them. What does that brat want to do? Li Zongjio's spiritual doppelganger appeared in the sky above everyone. Since you can't help, I'll borrow your mind power, Li Zongjio said faintly. He was high and mighty, like an emperor who ruled the world. The 7 people in front of Li Zongjio had used up a lot of experience to get to where they were today. Now that they had met Li Zongjio, they were forced to hand over their lifetime's worth of cultivation. This brat wants to refine our mind power to fight against him. Yuan Tianshu immediately felt Li Zhongjiu's intention. It had to be said that Li Zhongjiu's move was very dangerous. If Li Zhongjiu wanted to use his hammer to kill these array masters, it would naturally be no problem. But now he wanted to fight with them in terms of mind power. It wasn't that easy to win. Whoosh! The white dragon original spirit rushed in front of Yuan Tianshu in an instant. Then, with a fierce swing of its tail, it directly knocked Yuan Tianshu's mind power out of his own body. Yuan Tianshu's mind power could condense in this spiritual realm, as if it had become a transparent figure, but he could only watch his own body stay where it was. What kind of operation was this? The other 6 people also looked at Yuan Tianshu. Their mind power was obviously not strong enough to condense their mind power. It was just a stream of energy, but in Li Zhongjiu's spiritual realm, it directly formed such a state, and they could clearly see each other's souls with their eyes. Buzz! A figure quickly wandered over. It opened its mouth and swallowed Yuan Tianshu, who was still in shock. Soul Beast. Ancient Soul Beast. It was like a giant tadpole wandering in the sky. He kept a close eye on what was happening below at all times. Li Zhongjiu, on the other hand, had his eyes closed, and was refining the power that the soul-returning beast had returned to him. Since these people had no way to break this array, then let Li Zhongjiu do it. He would do it himself. In his previous life, Li Zhongjiu's realm of elixirs had reached an extremely terrifying level. Although he had dabbled in other aspects, it was not deep. This time, Li Zhongjiu really had no other way, and could only take such a risk. He had to give it a try. First, he would refine the strength of these 7 people, and then see what kind of level they could reach by gathering them together. At most, it would be equivalent to 3 level 8 array masters. If he wanted to reach the level 9 array master realm, there would be a certain distance. Fight it out with him. He Juyang and the others also made their moves. However, in this spiritual realm, some extremely terrifying figures suddenly appeared. These were the mind power of the soul beasts. But why would the mind power of these high-level soul beasts appear here? Under the attack of these soul beasts, and the white dragon original spirit, He Juyang, and the others could not fight back. These array masters who stood at the top of the Haika dynasty were killed by Li Zhongjiu so easily. Behind each figure, there was a very big trouble. One must know that these people's identities were not simple, and they would come knocking on their doors sooner or later. By then, even Wan Yulan would not be able to protect Li Zhongjiu. However, Li Zhongjiu did not care about the results. If he wanted revenge, he would welcome it any time. Li Zhongjiu could get rid of them in minutes. This was where Li Zhongjiu's dominance lay. He was not afraid of these people coming to cause trouble. So what if there was someone behind them? They would be defeated in minutes. Li Zhongjiu wanted to save a person, and he did not care about how many people he had to kill. In the end, the souls of the 7 array masters were refined by Li Zhongjiu. In fact, if Wu Tian had an ancient soul beast, he would not have needed to activate something as troublesome as the soul-burning array. When Li Zhongjiu reappeared in front of Li Yun could clearly feel the changes in Li Zhongjiu's body. There seemed to be several violent forces that were all concentrated in Li Zhongjiu's body. It kept vibrating in Li Zhongjiu's body. Zhongjiu, what's wrong with you? Protect me. I will break the array. There were less than 5 days left, and as King of Fire's resistance weakened, the speed of the array seemed to have increased. Obviously, the situation was worse than imagined. Okay. Li Yun's eyes widened. She already had a guess in her heart. Li Zhongjiu killed the 7 people and refined their powers. Chapter 1084. Li Zhongjiu directly chose to refine the powers of the 7 people in front of him. Doing so was undoubtedly very dangerous. Directly absorbing these 7 terrifying energies into one's body would first put an extremely dangerous strain on one's body. If one was not careful, it was very likely that one would explode and die, or even suffer from qi deviation. However, Li Zhongjiu's body did not seem to be in such a situation. After forcibly refining the powers of the 7 people, he was still so calm, and did not seem to have any problems at all. Li Yun had already set up a formation around the city. At the same time, Li Yan had also modified the formation in Feiyue City once again. She directly activated it. Buzz! The Emperor's prison formation was reactivated. Even if someone came knocking on the door, it would take some time before they could break in. At the very least, it was a kind of protection. At the same time, it was also a kind of concealment formation, which could ensure that the enemy would not find this place so quickly. At this moment, Feiyue City could be said to be in a very dangerous situation. The death of these 8 formation masters alone was enough to shake half of the Haika dynasty's Jianghu. It was very difficult to find a high-level formation master. Even in the Shengyan dynasty, there were probably only 4 or 5 7th-level formation masters. If these 4 or 5 people were all dead, wouldn't these people panic? The entire Jianghu would be shaken. Although formation masters were not as popular as alchemists, once they reached the peak of this profession, there would naturally be people who would put them in important positions. Now that they were killed, it would definitely anger the forces behind these people. Perhaps there would be more than 7 or 8 of them, or even 10 or 20 of them. However, in order to save the King of Fire, Li Zhongjie did not hesitate to do so. He did everything he could. Now Li Zhongjie was forcibly refining and absorbing the memories of these people. All the formation experience was concentrated on himself. Although Li Zhongjie had not really studied it thoroughly, fortunately, he was talented and had dabbled in it before. Therefore, the speed at which he absorbed these experiences was relatively fast. Immediately, Li Zhongjie's attainments in the field of formation soared. 2 days later, Li Zhongjie opened his eyes. It was only now that the cultivation of the 7 of them had been completely unlocked. It was completely refined by Li Zhongjie. How is it? Li Yan saw that Li Zhongjie had recovered. King of Fire's condition was getting worse and worse. If they continued to wait, he would definitely disappear completely in 2 days. Right now I'm probably at the 8th level, Li Zhongjie said. Even Li Zhongjie himself wasn't sure. At the same time, Li Zhongjie found a lot of information about the soul-burning array in Yuan Tianshu's memories. One of the pieces of information was very useful to Li Zhongjie. In order to break the soul-burning array, there was another way besides directly breaking the array, and that was to exchange one's soul for another. It could be considered a compromise, but at least it could be considered as rescuing someone. With Yuan Tianshu's strength, he could barely perform this method. If he had the strength of the other formation masters that day, he would have been able to do it. However, Yuan Tianshu didn't dare to take the risk, so he didn't say it. Now there was no chance to speak. They were all killed by Li Zhongjie. 8th level? Then is there a chance? Li Yan's eyes were shining. Li Zhongjie had jumped from the 3rd or 4th level to the 8th level in just 2 days. It was simply an incredible realm. Such strength was extremely shocking. There is. Although we can't break the array directly, there is a way to save the King of Fire. Li Zhongjie said. What he had to do now was very simple. He just had to capture someone whose soul force wasn't too weak. At the very least, he had to be able to withstand the pressure. What method? Li Yan asked. First, we need to catch someone with similar strength. Before Li Zhongjie could finish his words, he suddenly heard a huge movement in the sky above Feiyue City. Boom! Fortunately, there was a large array to protect them. An extremely strong fluctuation seemed to be coming from outside, and it spread out in front of them. Evil Sovereign, get the hell out here! A voice resounded through the sky. After tossing and turning, they finally found the hiding place of the man called Evil Lord. Did he think that they wouldn't be able to find him by hiding in such a place? There were close to 20 figures behind Taiwan. Apart from the people that Taiwan had brought with him, the rest were from the He clan. Back then, Li Zhongjie had launched a sneak attack on the He clan and captured He Juyang in front of everyone. At that time, He Juyang had been unable to stop Li Zhongjie. Later, Li Zhongjie had disappeared. The He clan had immediately mobilized all their forces to find Li Zhongjie's whereabouts. They had also mobilized the experts of the He clan to come here. They had to find Li Zhongjie at all costs. Now they had finally found Feiyue City. However, just as they were about to barge in, they found that there was an extremely strong force blocking their way. That was why they had seen the scene just now. Didn't you say that you were Evil Lord? You're a supreme being. Don't tell me that you don't live up to your reputation? Brat, if you know what's good for you, quickly invite our old ancestor out. Otherwise, I'll let you experience the might of the He clan. The patriarch of the He clan, He Tianming, said coldly. When Li Zhongjio had launched a sneak attack on the He clan, he hadn't been present. He had been out handling some matters. Who knew that when he returned, the clan's formation had been destroyed, and their old ancestor had been captured. In that case, He Tianming, as the patriarch of the He clan, couldn't escape the blame. Therefore he roared directly. He couldn't wait to bring their old ancestor back. This was a huge loss of face for them. This made He Tianming extremely anxious. The primitive emperors behind him had been brought by He Tianming. They were there to find Li Zhongjio, so that they could kill him directly. There shouldn't be any sloppiness. After bringing their old ancestor back, they would kill Li Zhongjio directly. When He Tianming's voice fell, the light screen below actually flickered. The defensive formation had actually opened by itself. Could it be that they wanted to surrender? At present, they didn't know what was going on below Feiyue City. However, they had brought so many experts with them, so there was no need for them to be afraid. With more than 20 primitive emperors gathered together, there was no place in the world that they couldn't go. It's that brat. Someone saw Li Zhongjio standing below. Taiwan also recognized him at a glance. The young man in front of him was the one who had given him a slap in the pub that day. He had finally found this brat. That's him. Everyone, don't be polite. Use the cruelest method to kill him. Taiwan couldn't wait to capture Li Zhongjio and use all means to torture him. The people of the He clan were also boiling at this moment. Let's go down. Immediately, everyone rushed down and landed in front of Li Zhongjio. They sized up the situation around them. Although the city was full of strange things, they had more than 20 people together. Just this alone was enough for them to be brave enough. All of them were staring at Li Zhongjio in front of them. However, they didn't see the person they were looking for, so they weren't in a hurry to act. Brat, who are you? You have captured more than half of the formation masters of the dynasty. Are you trying to make the entire dynasty your enemy? Evil Lord, I'll give you a chance now. Send our old ancestor out safely, and the He clan will let bygones be bygones. He Tianming said indifferently. However, even a child wouldn't believe such a thing. Li Zhongjio didn't answer them. Instead, he waved his hand in the air. Then, the array in the sky closed up once again. It was in a closed state. Hee, are you trying to catch a turtle in a jar? Let's see who the turtle is. Evil Lord, do you really think that you can fight against so many of us alone? He Tianming and the rest said coldly. However, Li Zhongjio didn't say anything. Instead, he took out the black dragon hammer in his hand. Swoosh. His figure flashed and he charged towards them. Let's kill this brat first. Taiwan took the lead and brandished the sword in his hand. This time, he wouldn't be hurt by Li Zhongjio's scheme like the last time. Boom! An overbearing thunderbolt burst out from the hammer in Li Zhongjio's hand. Just this string of lightning was enough to break the weapons in the hands of the people in front of him. Chapter 1085. Everyone felt their bodies stiffen as they lost control of their bodies. Naturally, their weapons fell to the ground. They were looking at the person in front of them. Li Zhongjio's figure flashed. He was already holding his hammer and hammering down on the bodies of the He family's experts. Bang! 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 Anyone who was hit by Li Zhongjio's hammer directly had their defenses broken, and their bodies were directly sent flying. With a loud bang, they crashed into a pile of ruins. They had lost their ability to fight. What? He Tianming and the rest saw this, and quickly gathered their strength to form a sword chi. They slashed towards Li Zhongjio. However, Li Zhongjio's figure was extremely illusory. With a sway of his body he dodged the sword. He Tianming immediately saw Li Zhongjio's figure rushing towards him. He wanted to free his hands, but realized that Li Zhongjio was too fast. Li Zhongjio's hammer hit He Tianming's head. Bang! The protective amulet on He Tianming's body was easily shattered. The remaining power sent He Tianming flying. His head was bleeding. When he fell to the ground, he had no more strength to fight. Then he fainted. Seeing this, the rest of the people were shocked. However, They didn't have time to take care of He Tianming's situation. Li Zhongjie's figure was like a ghost, flickering and drifting. Once he appeared, he would definitely take someone away. Bang! Two of the He family's experts stood back to back, trying to form a defense. However, it was easily broken. Even the original spirits they released to protect themselves were severely injured. They fell down. Puff! Puff! In just a few minutes, the He family's experts had been defeated. As for Taiwan and the rest of the five, only Taiwan and one of them were left standing. There was only one person left in the He family. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 primitive emperors left. The miserable state of the people who had fallen to the ground immediately caused everyone to suck in a breath of cold air. It was really too terrifying. Taiwan and his companion exchanged glances. Let's go together. All right. The remaining experts of the He clan did not doubt him. How could they not unite in such a situation? What awaited them would be a complete loss. When they saw Li Zhongjie rushing towards them, Taiwan gave the order. Then, the 3 of them rushed towards Li Zhongjie. Retreat! Suddenly, Taiwan and his companions changed directions and rushed towards the sky. They actually wanted to take the lead in escaping this place. This evil lord in front of them was too strong. How could someone be so powerful? Since most of the He clan's people were already dead, they didn't mind having one more person die so that they could leave. The expert of the He clan, never thought that these people would flee at such a time. Not only that, but they also sent him out as a scapegoat to block Li Zhongjie's figure. There was no doubt about the outcome of this expert of the He clan. The 3 of them together were no match for Li Zhongjie, not to mention that he was the only one left. Li Zhongjie raised his hand and sent the expert of the He clan flying. He fell to the ground. His body couldn't move. He was only twitching slightly. Break for me. Knowing that there was a defensive formation above them, the 2 of them slashed towards the formation in the sky at the same time. When they released their sword chi, it didn't even shake the defensive formation in front of them at all. Not only that, that terrifying force instantly bounced back towards the 2 of them. It was really unexpected that there was such an effect. Boom! 2 figures descended from the sky. Li Yun sneered after seeing this scene from afar. Why don't you see who's in charge of this formation? The difference between a large formation controlled by someone and a large formation controlled by no one could be said to be the difference between heaven and earth. Ordinary people simply couldn't imagine how big the difference was. Only when one truly experienced the power of a large formation would one know the terrifying difference between them. Taiwan spat out a mouthful of blood. They had more than 20 primitive emperor experts, all of whom were at the mid-stage and late-stage primitive emperor level. However, none of them were a match for Evil Lord. They were easily defeated by Evil Lord. There was no doubt that Evil Lord was a supreme-level expert. Who would have thought that the title of Evil Overlord was not just a boast? But he really did have such strength. It was unbelievable. They were really unlucky this time. They originally wanted to save the people, but they didn't expect that they would lose their lives. Don't kill me. I'm willing to serve you. I'm at your disposal. Taiwan's companion said hurriedly when he saw Li Zhongjie walking over. This was practically the last of his strength, but he still persisted. After all, this could be said to be his last chance. However, Li Zhongjie didn't waste any more words. He smashed the latter's head with his hammer. This horrifying scene made Taiwan suck in a breath of cold air. What exactly did Li Zhongjie want? His methods were so cruel and terrifying. Since I've been defeated, you can kill me or torture me as you wish, Taiwan said firmly. Just now, one of the people who had admitted defeat had been killed by Li Zhongjie. If he pretended to be calm and unyielding now, he might be able to keep his life. Li Zhongjie waved his hand and sucked everyone into the blood soul hell. He refined the power of these people, leaving only Taiwan and He Tianming. Taiwan was still conscious. When he saw that everyone had disappeared, he thought that Li Zhongjie must have taken them somewhere. In any case, they definitely wouldn't survive. He couldn't possibly say that he had taken them for treatment, right? Taiwan was nervous that only the 2 of them were left. What exactly was this guy trying to do? He was simply a demonic existence. He was so powerful that he had captured so many array masters and killed so many Yuan emperors. Such a person would definitely be wanted by the Heike dynasty. He couldn't believe that someone would actually do such a thing. Can the two of them do it? Li Yun also rushed over from afar. The array disc was near the city walls. Li Zhongjio had controlled the battlefield at the front of Feiyue City. Barely. Li Zhongjio carried Taiwan with one hand, and He Tianming with the other. At this moment, He Tianming was still unconscious. Both of them were seriously injured. Li Zhongjio extended his Yuan power and easily controlled the elemental pearls in their bodies. He stopped the elemental pearls from transmitting energy to them. At this moment, they had completely degenerated into cripples. He brought the two of them to the King of Fire's soul-burning array. Protect me. Li Zhongjio tied the two of them up and placed them in front of him. At the same time, Li Zhongjio's mental strength split into 8 forces and slowly rolled towards the 8 soul-burning pillars. When Li Zhongjio's mental strength invaded the pillars, he felt a burning sensation. Immediately, he felt as if his soul was being burned. This kind of pain would evoke the pain in the depths of anyone's heart. In an instant, Li Zhongjio seemed to see the tragic scene of the Li family being massacred. It was a roar from the depths of his soul. It seemed to have penetrated Li Zhongjio's body. Buzz! The white dragon original spirit appeared in time, and a cool force extinguished the terrifying energy burning. It stabilized Li Zhongjio's condition. White God Fu. Li Zhongjio, who had regained consciousness, felt a lingering fear. If he had gone mad just now, the consequences would have been unimaginable. These 8 soul-burning pillars were really terrifying array weapons. Li Zhongjio quickly entered the state. Although the soul-burning pillars triggered such a terrifying energy, Li Zhongjio endured it. After stabilizing the soul-burning pillars, Li Zhongjio tried to guide the energy to the two of them in front of him. Just now, Li Zhongjio had set up an array in front of the two of them, completely locking them in. Immediately, a green energy appeared on the soul-burning pillars. This green energy was constantly pushing out the red energy. When Li Yun saw this scene, she was pleasantly surprised. This meant that it was a success. Li Zhongjio really did it. Originally, there was no hope at all, but Li Zhongjio really did it. Although he couldn't break the soul-burning array, now he found another way. As for using other people's lives in exchange, it seemed a little cruel. Li Yun didn't think so at all. These people just now were clearly here to kill them. If Li Zhongjio and Li Yun weren't strong enough, how could they resist the attacks of these people? If they fell into the hands of these people, would they have a good ending? Come on, Li Zhongjio. Chapter 1086. In the Unbounded Land. This place was a boundless forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. There was an inconspicuous mountain peak in the forest. Among the many peaks, it looked extremely ordinary. It was more like an extremely ordinary small hill. However, no meta beast dared to approach within a 10,000-mile radius of this small hill. It was said that a person fell from the sky and landed on this mountain peak. He released his aura and attracted a few level 6 soul beasts to fight for food. However, they were all killed by this person. More and more soul beasts came after hearing the news. However, no matter how many came, they all died. Corpses piled up on the mountain. The soul beasts at the back finally understood that this person wasn't someone to be trifled with. Therefore, all the soul beasts retreated automatically. No one dared to get close to this inconspicuous mountain. This place was called Wu Mountain. There was a stone tablet at the foot of the mountain. Under the stone tablet, there were tens of thousands of soul beast corpses. On Wu Mountain, suddenly, a surge of earth-shattering energy spread out. Buzz! Instantly, thousands of black figures flew out from Mount Wu and headed up the mountain. Welcome back, Master. Thousands of black figures said in unison. A barefoot middle-aged man with a crew cut walked out. He was wearing a rough linen shirt. He had a stocky build. There was a tooth pendant around his neck. Each tooth was different in shape. However, each tooth had an extraordinary origin. Just by looking at them, one could feel that they were filled with power. You killed my clone and want to touch my soul-burning array. Who are you? This middle-aged man with a crew cut was Sky Wu's original body. This Wu Mountain was also his territory. Compared to cities and fortresses, those resources were nothing to Sky Wu. The thousands of people under his command were all experts. Look after Wu Mountain. Within 10 days, kill 10,000 sixth-order primordial beasts, and place their heads in the formation. Sky Wu ordered. Immediately, his subordinates accepted the order and scattered into the distance. Like locusts, they scattered in all directions. Sky Shaman, on the other hand, flew towards the Heichu dynasty. Boom. Heike dynasty, Jiuhua City. The disappearance of the He family, Taiwan, and the others immediately caused a commotion in Jiuhua City. Almost everyone thought that these people must have died in the hands of evil lord. Otherwise, why didn't he appear for so long? Something must have happened. Is this evil lord a demon? He's too scary. More importantly, I don't know what he's doing. Is he doing this purely to kill people? Many people were speculating about Li Zongjio's actions. However, Wan Yulan knew the reason. She even sent masters to guard Li Zongjio in Jiuhua City in case something happened to him. However, if Li Zongjio didn't encounter any problems, he shouldn't appear. Li Zongjio wasn't in a good situation either. After capturing these top-tier array masters, he had already made enemies of many people. Things wouldn't be easy for him in the future. Therefore, Wan Yulan was also worried in her heart. If the Wanyong Marquis Mansion rashly intervened, the world would definitely think that the Wanyong Marquis Mansion was the mastermind behind the scenes. She had no choice but to be cautious about this matter. Even Wan Yulan did not expect Li Zongjio to cause such a huge ruckus. This matter was obviously not going to end well. The news from the Demon Suppression Palace has already spread. I believe that this matter will be diluted. Wan Yulan calculated in her heart. If she wanted to divert attention from one matter, she would create an even bigger matter. That would be much easier. Feiyue City. Most of the 8 burning soul pillars had been replaced. The souls of the 2 people in front of her were completely pushed into the burning soul pillars. The King of Fire, who had recovered, looked at Li Zongjio, who was working hard. When the energy returned to his body, the King of Fire woke up and became stronger. If he could break free from this burning soul array, he would definitely be able to absorb a lot of benefits. The King of Fire didn't say anything. At this moment, Li Zongjio's body was almost at its limit. However, he was still struggling to hold on. The burning of the burning soul array would only become stronger and stronger. All of a sudden, dark clouds gathered in the sky. It was like a demon of the night. What's wrong? Li Yun suddenly raised her head and looked at the sky. The King of Fire, who was in the array, suddenly became serious. Oh no, he's here. The King of Fire looked at the burning soul pillars. They still needed some time to break free from this burning soul array. But now that Wu Tian had arrived, were they going to fail at the last step? Don't worry, Master. I will definitely buy some time, Li Yun said as she stood up. Then, she quickly rushed to the city wall and activated the array. Damn it! Li Zongjio, faster! The Fire Wraith King was also making his final effort. If they couldn't break out of the array in time, everyone would die here. Everything they had done before would be in vain. Boom! A loud sound shattered the sky. The light screen of the Emperor's prison array appeared above Feiyue City. Li Yun, who was controlling the array to resist, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The array disc in front of her felt like it was about to collapse. So strong! A glint of surprise flashed across Li Yan's eyes. Her opponent's move was indeed too terrifying. Just this move alone was enough to make Li Yan feel dizzy, as if she had overdrawn her strength. I must hold on. Li Yun swallowed an elixir and quickly recovered from her injuries. At the same time, she rearranged the array disc in front of her and adjusted the array's defense method. Outside the array, Wu Tian looked at the changes in the array and smiled disdainfully. Stupid. Don't you know that I'm the one who set up this array? Then, Wu Tian raised his hand again and pressed his palm down. Boom! The 4 city walls of Feiyue City collapsed. Instantly they collapsed. Boom! The 4 city walls collapsed. The array disc in front of Li Yun also collapsed in an instant. The strong recoil sent Li Yun flying. Bang! Li Yun's head hit a wall, and she fell unconscious on the ground. The recoil alone was not something Li Yun could withstand. Wu Tian's strength was too strong. The surroundings of Feiyue City suddenly collapsed as if an earthquake was happening. The loud rumbling sounds were shocking to the people around. King of Fire, who was in the soul-burning array, looked up at Wu Tian in the sky. His eyes were filled with ferocity. "Let him go. I'm willing to be refined by you," King of Fire said in a deep voice. At this moment she no longer had any hope. Li Zongjie was completely immersed in the array, and was unaware of the situation outside. King of Fire only hoped that Wu Tian would let Li Zongjie go. After all, she was going to die anyway. No matter what, Wu Tian would not let her go. However, Wu Tian shook his head. "He destroyed one of my avatars, and caused me to lose 100 years of cultivation. You almost succeeded. Now let me send you on your way." Wu Tian stood in the air, and suddenly raised his palm and slammed it down. Boom! Boom! This palm had the power to destroy heaven and earth. When it came down, even Li Zongjie would die without a doubt. The palm landed on the ground. The cloud of dust was hundreds of meters high. It covered the sky and covered the sun. Such a shocking scene had never been seen before in their lives. However, Sky Shaman frowned and waved his hand, causing the dust below to disperse. There was no formation below, and the figures of Li Zongjie and the others had all disappeared without a trace. Illusion array? Suddenly, Wu Tian's face became extremely ugly. He did not expect that with his cultivation, he would be fooled by an array. What Sky Shaman attacked just now was just an illusion. Deep under Feiyue City, Li Zongjie forced King of Fire's last trace of soul power out of the soul-burning array. Finally, Li Zongjie had exhausted quite a bit of his energy, and he leaned against the mountain wall. "You rest here. I'll go chase him away." King of Fire waved his hand and sent a wave of energy into Li Zongjie's body. It immediately helped Li Zongjie recover from his exhaustion. Li Zongjie saw this and laughed bitterly. "Can you do it? I let him do it last time," King of Fire said indifferently. In the next moment, a terrifying aura was released from King of Fire's body. Boom! In the sky, a fiery red cloud followed the Fire Wraith King's summon, dispersing the dark clouds brought by Wu Tian. In the end, the two of them stood on equal footing. So this girl has also broken through to the Supreme Being level. Li Zongjie was almost exhausted. With the energy that King of Fire sent into his body, he began to recover. Chapter 1087. King of Fire rushed out from the ground. Seeing King of Fire appear in front of him, Skywoo was a little surprised. But since King of Fire was still here, it was just a matter of time. "You should have just run away," Skywoo said indifferently after seeing King of Fire. "You've lived for so long. Don't you know that women hold grudges?" In King of Fire's hands, a terrifying flame immediately emerged. With the appearance of this flame, the battle was instantly ignited. Skywoo naturally wouldn't underestimate King of Fire. The first time he tried to take down King of Fire, he suffered a lot. So this time, he specially arranged a precious clone here. Who knew that it would be destroyed by Li Zongjie? The Fire Wraith King's flames were like a waterfall as they rushed towards Skywoo. The terrifying flame swept out. It was like a violent storm. Skywoo also raised his hand and rushed into the sea of fire. The flame followed Skywoo and was directly split into two, spreading far away. Boom! He rushed in front of the Fire Wraith King and immediately slammed his palm toward the Fire Wraith King's head. Bang! King of Fire took Skywoo's palm head-on. The two's aura instantly collided and immediately set off a terrifying shockwave. Boom! It spread out in all directions. Interesting. After a few consecutive moves, Skywoo's eyes flashed with a strange light. He didn't expect King of Fire's strength to have such a huge breakthrough. "Looks like you've also awakened." Skywoo looked at King of Fire in surprise and said, "King of Fire," and he were of the same origin. So they understood each other's strength very well. It was just that Skywoo had awakened his memory and strength earlier. Therefore, he wanted to take advantage of the fact that King of Fire was still weak to kill King of Fire. However, he did not expect that the King of Fire would awaken as well. "You want to kill me? I'm afraid it won't be that easy." The King of Fire stared at Sky Shaman and said indifferently. This was also King of Fire's background. Immediately, a wave of energy spread out. Within the body of the King of Fire, there was a vast will of inheritance and ancient times that stood above the heavens and the earth. Behind the Fire Wraith King, there seemed to be a huge illusory figure emerging. Sky Shaman furrowed his brows. The awakening of the Fire Wraith King was a very troublesome matter for him. Originally, he could have quietly taken down the Fire Wraith King. However, if he wanted to take down the Fire Wraith King now, he would have to put in more effort. There's a time to awaken. Now that you've awakened, do you think you're my opponent? Sky Wu said indifferently. In the next moment, an even more vast will was released from Sky Wu's body. It was twice as strong as the King of Fire. Both of them had a ball of blue flame on their bodies. Their flames danced around each other and revealed a state and feeling that they wanted to devour each other. Buzz! Li Yun struggled to get up from the pile of ruins. When she saw the King of Fire and Sky Wu fighting in the sky, she heaved a sigh of relief. Master is out, Li Yun said in surprise. Since Master had appeared, it meant that he had escaped. Li Zhongjiu had succeeded. Sure enough, this kid did not disappoint her. However, the appearance of this middle-aged man in front of her made Li Yun extremely shocked. This person's strength was so strong. Looking at the array disc that had been destroyed, Li Yun was also shocked by Sky Wu's strength. At the same time, Li Yun hurriedly repaired the array disc in front of her. At the very least, she had to make use of some of the broken arrays. Although Master had recovered his strength, the opponent's strength was not something that Master could resist. He had to help his master. Moreover, Li Zhongjiu had not appeared until now. He must have exhausted a lot of energy. Previously, Li Yun had helped Li Zhongjiu to move the entire array underground and set up a camouflage. Fortunately, Li Zhongjiu's plan had worked. Otherwise, the two of them would have died. In the battle between the King of Fire and Sky Wu, it was obvious that Sky Wu was at a disadvantage. Wu Tian even threw out a palm strike, which almost sent the Fire Wraith King flying. Bang! The King of Fire's figure landed on the ground, and the vibration of the ground instantly spread out. So that kid was hiding underground. Then I'll destroy this place. Sky Wu sneered. The reason why the King of Fire had dispersed the power just now was because he was worried that the power would spread underground and affect Li Zhongjiu, who was in the process of repairing. Since he knew what the opponent was concerned about, he would directly attack the weak spot. Immediately, Sky Wu gathered a wave of energy in his hand. Such a terrifying power immediately blasted towards the ground. Naturally, the King of Fire would not let Sky Wu succeed. Opening his defense, he could only take this attack head-on. Wang! A violent vibration came. After the King of Fire opened his defense, Sky Shaman's thoughts were further confirmed in his mind. It seems that you haven't fully awakened. You still have a heart of compassion, Sky Wu said coldly. He launched one attack after another toward the ground. The King of Fire forcefully held on, and the power in his body was constantly being stimulated. This line of defense wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Boom! Just as the King of Fire was struggling to hold on, a loud sound suddenly came from the side. A huge energy cannon blasted Sky Wu's body. However, it only blasted Sky Wu's clothes. On Sky Wu's body, some dark tadpole-like tattoos were shining at this moment. It easily absorbed all the energy that was supplied to it just now. When he turned around, he saw a battleship facing him. Oh no! When the King of Fire saw this thing, he knew that Li Yun had made a move. Li Yun was piloting the Eagle battleship. However, there was only one person operating it. Therefore, after the attack, it would take a long time to fly away. Therefore, Li Yun gave up on escaping. She directly prepared for the second round of attack. Damn, your skin is so thick. Then I'll do it again. Li Yun was preparing for the second round of attack. However, Sky Wu had already flicked his finger. Boom! The Eagle battleship instantly exploded. Before Li Yun could react, the King of Fire's figure flashed and directly grabbed Li Yun, and then jumped. They escaped from the Sea of Fire. Leave this place. The King of Fire directly pushed Li Yun's body, sending Li Yun flying. In the blink of an eye, She disappeared into the horizon. When a supreme being expert fought against an ordinary person, the effect was very obvious. The difference in strength between them was very large. Therefore, Li Yan did not have any resistance in the face of this force, and was easily sent out. Skywoo did not care about Li Yan. Instead, he took advantage of the King of Fire's attack, and directly attacked the King of Fire. The houses on both sides instantly became Skywoo's weapons, and directly crushed towards the King of Fire. Bang! The King of Fire waved his hands and instantly destroyed the surrounding houses. Suddenly, a figure flew in from the countless broken stones and suddenly came out, punching the King of Fire. The power around the King of Fire was instantly drawn. Boom! The King of Fire was sent flying, and instantly flew out on the streets of the city, dragging a long trail. After awakening, is this all you can do? Skywoo said indifferently. The King of Fire was severely injured, and the state of his body was in chaos. However, the King of Fire still endured the pain in his body and slowly stood up. Kill me, and I will make you pay the price. The King of Fire said slowly. His eyes were already bursting with the will to die. In this case, he must fight with Skywoo until the end. He must make Skywoo pay a great price, or else Li Zongjio and the others would be in danger. I won't kill you. You are still very useful to me. Skywoo suddenly threw out a flag from his hand. When the flag flew out, it was instantly inserted in the middle of the road. The flag instantly flew up, and from the flag, a few pitch-black vines stretched out, and instantly wrapped around the King of Fire's body from a distance of 100 meters, controlling the King of Fire. Chi! The King of Fire's eyes were filled with surprise. Then from the vines, a powerful force was immediately injected, causing the King of Fire's body to become weak. It was as if he had lost all the strength in his body. The last vine quickly rushed towards the King of Fire's heart. Boom! Chapter 1088. King of Fire opened his eyes, but the feeling of being penetrated did not come. It was as if there was a figure in front of him. When he opened his eyes, he saw a familiar figure. Li Zongjio. King of Fire's eyes immediately revealed a look of surprise. Li Zongjio grabbed the rushing rattan with one hand, and the towering flame in his body was immediately released. The towering flame followed the path it came from, and directly covered the flag in front of him. Boom! The flag was completely engulfed by the towering flames. The flame instantly ignited the flag. The rattan that was wrapped around King of Fire's body also withdrew in an instant. I'm late. I was preparing something just now. Li Zongjio helped King of Fire up, and gave King of Fire a pill. In any case, it was still a 6th grade medicinal pill, and it had a very good effect in assisting one's injuries. King of Fire swallowed the pill, and at the same time, he looked at Li Zongjio in front of him in surprise. How did you recover so quickly? Because I accidentally broke through. Li Zongjio said. After being in a deadlock for so long on the Burning Soul Pillar, not only did Li Zongjio's mental strength increase, but it also allowed Li Zongjio's physical strength to continuously increase. In addition, the mental strength of the previous array masters was replenished. At this moment, Li Zongjio's mental strength had reached the level of a 6th grade primitive emperor. Even Li Zongjio did not expect this kind of improvement. You're the one who destroyed my clone. Wu Tian stared at Li Zongjio. It was as if he wanted to see what kind of background Li Zongjio had that he could actually destroy his clone. Originally, I had minded my own business and spared your life. But now you will definitely die. Li Zongjio sighed, then looked at Skywoo and said slowly, Kill me? Haha, come on. Skywoo said disdainfully. King of Fire recovered and stood in front of Li Zongjio, indicating that he wanted to fight side by side with Li Zongjio. However, Li Zongjio's speed was extremely fast. Even in the eyes of King of Fire, he could only see an afterimage flash by. Shwa! Skywoo also exerted strength in his legs and instantly rushed towards Li Zongjio. The two figures collided in an instant. Boom! Their fists collided with each other's. The strong airwaves formed by the collision of their fists easily crushed the surrounding houses, making them look like a pile of tofu. Huh! Skywoo was surprised. He did not expect Li Zongjio to be able to compete with him in terms of strength. Bang bang bang. The two of them exchanged a few punches in a row. Under the constant collision of their fists, one could even hear the sound of the surrounding space being unable to bear the pressure. There might be people outside who noticed the situation in Feyua City, but at this moment, there was an extremely powerful and chaotic airflow lingering inside and outside the city. No one dared to get close. If one's strength was not enough, they would definitely be shredded into pieces as soon as they got close. No one wanted to end up like that. Based on the current situation, there must be some top experts fighting in the city. In short, Feyua City would probably be torn down by the two of them. Bang! Li Zhongjiu's punches were obviously faster and more ruthless. His fighting style was also more direct. Coupled with his body's natural defense, he was actually able to block Sky Wu's fist. When the punch landed on Sky Wu's body, it sent him flying hundreds of meters away. The golden dragon tattoo on Li Zhongjiu's body flickered. It was obvious that he had suffered a lot of force in the fierce battle just now. King of Fire originally wanted to help. However, when he saw Li Zhongjiu fighting so fiercely, he simply gave up and watched from the side. It was fine to just support the battle. Sky Wu's body was blasted back. However, he was also injured. Li Zhongjiu's fighting style was indeed fierce, but to Sky Wu, this kind of injury was not worth mentioning. Your fighting instincts are very strong, but it's a pity that your strength is too weak for me. Sky Wu said faintly. This was the truth. No matter how much Li Zhongjiu increased his strength, he was still an primitive emperor. It was a very big leap for him to fight against a primordial expert. Otherwise, he would not have been so afraid when he met the mountain seagull that day. He only dared to take advantage of the situation when the 1,000-year flood dragon and the mountain seagull were both injured. However, Li Zhongjiu was not moved at all. My strength? You know nothing about my strength. Since that's the case, I'll let you have a good taste of it. Li Zhongjiu said and snapped his fingers. Immediately, Sky Shaman seemed to feel a wave of energy approaching, and the ground around him suddenly collapsed. Then the 8 burning soul pillars drilled out from the ground. Rumble! The 8 burning soul pillars surrounded Sky Wu. Burning soul array? Can you do it? Sky Wu looked at the 8 burning soul pillars. These burning soul pillars were personally refined by him, but now they were in Li Zhongjiu's hands. However, Sky Wu did not believe that Li Zhongjiu could take away the burning soul array in such a short time. This burning soul array is mine. You want to use my array against me? Let's try. Li Zhongjiu sharpened the soul-burning array in his hand, and with a slight flick of his fingers, a terrifying force immediately burst out from the array and rushed towards Wu Tian. The burning soul array's power immediately locked Sky Wu within. Boom! Sky Wu's fist suddenly exerted force and directly opened a hole in the array. He wanted to escape the array's range, but Li Zhongjiu's array skills were not low. Although this array was forcibly created, Li Zhongjiu's comprehension was very strong. As he attacked, the burning soul pillars chased after him. They continuously released a terrifying force towards Sky Wu, trying to trap him in the array. They chased after Sky Wu. Buzz buzz! The black dragon hammer in Li Zhongjiu's hand kept flashing. Just now, Li Zhongjiu did not use the black dragon hammer. When Li Zhongjiu took out the black dragon hammer, terrifying lightning surrounded it, and a dark cloud appeared in the sky. At this moment Sky Wu, who was fighting against the burning soul array, raised his head and looked at the sky. What? A terrifying lightning force was brewing. When Sky Wu stared at the sky, then an incomparably thick bolt of lightning fell from the sky, directly towards Wu Tian. Boom! The lightning force summoned by the black dragon hammer was quite terrifying. Even some of the people who were watching the battle from outside the city revealed shocked expressions. Even though they were so far away, they could still feel their hearts palpitating. What a terrifying raging lightning! Even a peak origin emperor would not be able to resist it. Li Zhongjiu's lightning bolt struck down. The energy radiated from the explosion almost destroyed half of Flying Moon City. A huge crater appeared in Flying Moon City. In the burning soul array, Sky Wu's figure had disappeared. King of Fire came to Li Zhongjiu's side. Li Zhongjiu's move just now could be said to be full of energy. He escaped. King of Fire looked at Li Zhongjie in disbelief. He did not expect Li Zhongjie to make Sky Wu flee. Sky Wu's strength was at least in the realm of a third-grade sovereign. But when facing Li Zhongjie, he could only choose to escape. He did not have the upper hand. After King of Fire awakened, he naturally understood that Sky Wu's strength was not so easy to deal with. However, Li Zhongjie's body was also exhausted. Seeing Li Zhongjie's weariness, King of Fire came to support him. He ran fast. Li Zhongjie said indifferently. Then he put away the burning soul array. The 8 burning soul pillars flew directly into Li Zhongjie's body. In order to refine the burning soul array, Li Zhongjie directly opened up another hell. Li Zhongjie named this layer of hell the Array Hell. Now Li Zhongjie's 10 hells were almost half opened up. Blood Soul Hell, Spirit Hell, Flame Hell, and now Array Hell. The more energy accumulated in the body in the early stage, the greater the restriction in breaking through in the later stage. And the more energy would be needed. Let's leave this place first. Li Zhongjie could still move freely now. So he and King of Fire went to look for Li Yun. After finding her, they would return to Black Canal Royal City. Chapter 1089. Li Yun was sent to the wilderness by the King of Fire. Coincidentally, when she fell to the ground, she encountered a group of bandits who had just returned from a robbery. When they saw a beauty like Li Yun descending from the sky, they immediately thought that she was a mistress arranged by the heavens. The leader of the bandits wasn't in a hurry, so he sent a few of his men to fight with Li Yun. He discovered that Li Yun wasn't weak at all, and several of his men had already been defeated by Li Yun. I advise you to leave quickly, or else you won't be able to keep your lives. Li Yun looked at the bandits in front of her and said slowly. Hearing Li Yun's casual threat, the bandits burst into laughter. Little girl, do you know who our leader is? Have you heard of the Black Canal Basilica? Our leader is the nephew of the White Deacon. If you follow our leader, you can do whatever you want in the Black Canal Basilica. One of the bandits shouted at Li Yun. Obviously, he wanted to flatter his leader at this moment, and let those who had just joined know that the leader in front of them wasn't simple. As long as they followed the leader well, there would always be benefits. Li Yun naturally didn't take his words to heart. She had a few life-saving items in her hands, but there were too many people in front of her. If she scattered them, she could only kill half of the monsters, which was extremely risky. Because she attacked Sky Shaman head-on, Sky Shaman blew up the Eagle battleship, and she was also injured. Now, she was only left with less than half of her strength. The leader of the bandits was a young man who looked to be in his late 20s. He was probably used to being a tyrant, and he had a lawless look on his face. He carried a machete on his shoulder, and just a moment ago, he had robbed a group of merchants. Robbing money and women weren't his motive. The main thing was that he liked this kind of exciting feeling. That was why he embarked on the path of a bandit. Otherwise, with his condition, he could go anywhere and do anything. His strength was not weak, and with someone backing him, he was even more arrogant. Even if some people met him, they would have to give him face. At the very least, he had to give his uncle some face. Both of you go and tear her clothes. The young man casually pointed at 2 capable men. Then, the 2 of them walked towards Li Yun with a smirk on their faces. Every time, their brothers would be able to feast their eyes on it. In fact, if they were still alive after their master enjoyed it, perhaps they would also have the opportunity to enjoy it. However, there were very few people who could withstand his master's skill. However, every time the master had the best of the best, the Li Yun in front of him was even rarer in the world. No wonder the master was so interested. Immediately, the 2 of them directly pounced on Li Yun. Li Yun did not dare to continue fighting. She was also looking for an opportunity to escape. However, the 2 of them seemed to have seen through Li Yun's intention and hurriedly increased the speed of their attacks. If they could not quickly take Li Yun down, their master would be angry, and the consequences would be very serious. Bang! Li Yun threw one of them to the ground with a palm. The man did not even react. When he got up, he was still in a daze. Hey, you stinky girl, how can you be so ruthless? However, the man did not have the chance to continue attacking. A blade directly attacked him from behind. Then, the man's head rolled on the ground. Trash, after so long, you still can't take down a woman. What's the use of having you? The young man attacked again, killing another subordinate with a single slash. Everyone kept quiet out of fear. When an A-class expert attacked without any hesitation, it was clear that in the eyes of this young man, even these subordinates could be easily killed. There was no need for him to have any misgivings. Come on, little girl. If you can beat me, I will let you go, Feng Junqing said to Li Yun. He swung the machete in his hand. The machete in his hand was like an extended arm. Although he was cruel, it was undeniable that he had some skills. Li Yun naturally did not believe Feng Junqing's nonsense. However, Feng Junqing's strength made Li Yun vigilant. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures landed beside Feng Junqing. Li Yun, who originally looked dignified, suddenly relaxed. There was also a feeling of surprise. This made Feng Junqing stunned. What does this mean? Are you okay? Li Zhongjiu asked. I'm fine. Where's that guy? Li Yun looked at the sky. That Wu Tian's strength was simply unprecedented. Even her master was no match for him. He was chased away by me, Li Zhongjiu calmly stated. The Tao of Heaven. Li Yan's heart was filled with shock. Li Zhongjiu was simply too ferocious. He had actually defeated Wu Tian. Otherwise, Wu Tian would not have had to run away. Li Zhongjiu's last move must have seriously injured Wu Tian. Although it was not enough to take his life, it was enough to make him stop for a while. After coming out of the Demon Suppression Palace, Li Zhongjiu would definitely find trouble with Wu Tian. Others might not know where Wu Tian was hiding, but Li Zhongjiu knew a little about it. Presumably, it was not too different from his previous life. Who are you people? Feng Junqing saw that Li Zhongjiu was chatting happily with his future woman, and was immediately unhappy. Most importantly, Li Zhongjiu acted as if he did not see him, and directly ignored him. This made Feng Junqing even more unhappy. He wanted to stomp on Li Zhongjiu's head until it exploded. However, when Feng Junqing saw the King of Fire beside Li Zhongjiu, his eyes lit up. Such a flirtatious red-haired woman. He had never seen such a charming red-haired woman before. It turned out that red hair was so pleasurable to look at. Miss, let's get to know each other. My name is Feng Junqing. Feng Junqing put away his knife, and politely extended his hand to the Fire Wraith King. The Fire Wraith King looked at Feng Junqing with an indifferent gaze. Who wouldn't be able to tell that this little thing was scheming? Li Zhongjiu glanced at Feng Junqing, and directly took out the black dragon hammer. He smashed it toward Feng Junqing's head. Master, be careful. Someone saw Li Zhongjiu's action and hurriedly shouted. He wanted to remind his master, but it was too late. Bang! Feng Junqing fell to the ground. His head did not explode, but blood kept flowing out from his eyes, mouth, and nose. He was directly put down. It was obvious that Feng Junqing was dead. Let's go. Li Yan nodded. With Li Zhongjiu's strength, it was easy for him to kill these people, but he was too lazy to do so. As long as he killed the leader, it would be fine. I still have the Qilin ship. Li Yan summoned the Qilin ship. After the three of them boarded the Qilin ship, they headed toward the Black Canal Royal City. When the Qilin ship disappeared, the people below reacted. The head of the house has been beaten to death. Master is dead. Quickly catch those people. Brat, don't run if you have the guts. All of them became active and excited. When they were there, no one dared to make a sound, because Li Zhongjiu had killed Feng Junqing in seconds. Among them, Feng Junqing's strength was without a doubt the strongest. He had reached the Yuan King realm. However, such an expert was unable to dodge Li Zhongjiu's hammer. Obviously, Li Zhongjiu's strength was not simple. Among these bandits, two of their expressions changed instantly. Oh my God, this is bad. If the White Deacon of the Black Canal Temple were to pursue the matter, none of them would be able to escape unscathed. Therefore, today's matter had caught everyone off guard. Their master's death was too sudden. Moreover, the identities of the three people just now did not seem simple. They flew away just like that. Chapter 1090. Black Canal Royal City. Marquis Wanyong's residents had been in a lot of trouble in the past 2 days. One of them was Wan Yulan, who had reported Wan Yulan for colluding with rebels. He even made a list of names. Ever since Wan Yulan was beaten up by Li Zongjio, he had been feeling unsatisfied. Now that he had found the opportunity and evidence, he directly reported it to Black Canal Basilica. He was simply the stupidest teammate in history. With such an excuse, Black Canal Basilica naturally had to investigate the matter thoroughly. Therefore, they gave Wan Yulan a deadline of 3 days to surrender, or they would arrest her. Wan Yulan could not solve the current situation. If she wanted to save Marquis Wanyong's residence, she had to surrender herself and sacrifice herself to protect Marquis Wanyong's residence. At the same time, she would also protect the plan. Fortunately, Wan Yulan did not have much access to the list. There were only a few of them, and their crimes were not serious. At most, they would be locked up for a period of time as punishment. Or these people from Black Canal Basilica would do something like killing a chicken to warn the monkeys. They would directly choose to behead Wan Yulan in public. It was hard to say. Today was the last day. Wan Yulan waited calmly until the end. The Black Knights of Black Canal Basilica had already formed a military formation at the entrance. If they did not see Wan Yulan coming out of Marquis Wanyong's residence today, they would directly kill without mercy. These Black Knights were equivalent to the Imperial Guards. However, these Black Knights had a lot of authority. As long as they received a mission from the Black Canal Holy Temple, even if it was the current emperor or the current crown prince, they could be easily captured and interrogated. It could be said that the Black Canal Holy Temple was very lawless. They were strong and had a strong background. They were even more unscrupulous. When these Black Knights lined up in front of the door, they were filled with a murderous aura. Wan Yulan had already arranged the follow-up matters. Even without her, the plan would still proceed. To achieve great things there must be sacrifices. Wan Yulan was the first sacrifice. If Li Zongjio and the others come back, we must inform them not to go to the Demon Suppression Palace. Black Canal Basilica has already set up an inescapable trap. We're just waiting for him to walk right into it. Yes, miss. Wan Yulan faintly sighed. She knew that Wan Yulan would retaliate, but she didn't expect that Wan Qingquan would use such a method to hand over the entire Marquis mansion. Such a serious consequence wouldn't be good for Wan Qingquan. However, Wan Qingquan still did it. He was simply stupid. Now, Wan Yulan was too lazy to deal with Wan Qingquan. The latter didn't have long to live. If you don't appear in the last 3 breaths, the Black Knights will flatten the Marquis mansion. The leader of the Black Knights shouted at the Marquis mansion. The knights under him also raised their spears one after another. The light from the friction between the spears was so bright that they only needed in order to charge in. After all, this was the Black Canal Royal City, the center of power of the Black Canal Temple. It was unrealistic to disobey. On a branch, the door of the Marquis mansion opened. Wan Yulan walked out alone. There wasn't the slightest worry or fear on her face. When the leader of the Black Knights saw Wan Yulan appear, the corner of his mouth raised slightly. So what if you're a member of the Marquis mansion? You still have to bow down in front of the Black Knights. The leader of the Black Knights sneered in his heart. When he was about to give the order to lock her up, a gust of wind suddenly came from the sky. A flying boat appeared directly in the sky. Wan Yulan raised her head and saw the flying boat. It was so familiar. Wasn't this the Qilin battleship of Li Zongjio's family? Wan Yulan had a photographic memory. She had seen the Qilin battleship in the White Deer Mansion. Why are there so many people? Li Zongjio and the other 2 saw so many people on horses gathered below. It seemed that they were here to capture someone. They didn't know much about the functions of the Black Canal Basilica. When ordinary people saw the Black Knights, they would run away as far as possible. Who would dare to approach them? Whoosh! Li Zongjio landed in front of Wan Yulan. What's going on? Li Zongjio looked at Wan Yulan and asked. When they saw Li Zongjio, the leader of the Black Knights, and the others behind him instantly became serious. Could it be that Wan Yulan's helper had arrived? How dare you use flying equipment in Monarch City? Shoot it down. The leader of the Black Knights looked at the Qilin battleship in the sky and said coldly. Immediately, the cavalry behind him threw out the steel spears in their hands. Whoosh! The steel spears were thrown out, and their power almost broke the air in front of them, producing a whistling sound. However, the two steel spears were melted by the flames before they could touch the Chilean battleship. The King of Fire was on the flying boat. How could he let his disciples' battleship be destroyed by others? Therefore he directly attacked. "Are you courting death?" Li Zongjio looked at the leader of the Black Knights and scolded him directly. "How dare you insult our leader? Kill him!" The two loyal cavalry guards beside him could not stand it anymore. How dare he insult their leader so arrogantly? They immediately squeezed the bellies of their horses and rushed towards Li Zongjio. The two of them joined forces and attacked together. The spears in their hands were like dragons, and their aura was extremely sharp. Bang bang! Li Zongjio's black dragon hammer appeared in his hand and hammered at the two of them. Both of them flew out together with their horses. When they flew back, they knocked into many of their companions. Suddenly the street was in a mess. "They are the Black Knights, the Imperial Guards of Black Canal Basilica. They are here to catch me," Wan Yulan explained. "So they are the lackeys of Black Canal Basilica." Li Zongjio frowned and said disdainfully. Then he walked towards these people. Wan Yulan wanted to stop him, but it was too late. "What are you trying to do?" When the leader of the Black Knights saw Li Zongjio's actions, he immediately became nervous. However, Li Zongjio was already a threat, and he even attacked their members. "Take him down," the leader of the Black Knights ordered. Hundreds of Black Knights behind him shook their spears. Li Zongjio waved at these people. Boom, boom, boom. 8 incomparably dark pillars, which seemed to have drilled out from the ground, directly encircled everyone in it. "What is this? Destroy these pillars." There was no lack of experts in the Black Knights. However, these people immediately threw away their armor under the soul-burning array. They felt as if there was a ball of fire burning in their heads. It was extremely uncomfortable and painful. "On my head!" Bang! A figure fell from the horse's back. Bang! Another figure fell from the sky. Hundreds of Black Knights fell to the ground one after another. After struggling for a while, they stopped moving. The leader of the Black Knights was the last one. He wanted to escape, but he found that he could not move at all. It was as if there was an invisible force holding him and not letting him go. Then the same thing happened. A force drilled into his mind, and he immediately enjoyed the feeling of his soul being burned in hell. After a few minutes, everyone stopped struggling. The members of the Black Knights regiment were all dead. Li Zongjio then put away the soul-burning array. Wan Yulan looked at Li Zongjio in surprise. She did not expect that Li Zongjio would have such a powerful move after not seeing him for a few days. What a powerful array! Wan Yulan was well-read and naturally knew that what Li Zongjio used just now was a set of powerful array treasures. It was almost impossible to refine it in a short period of time. He must have had a fortuitous encounter. However, there were so many corpses of the Black Knights lying in front of the Marquis of Wanyong's mansion. Wan Yulan, on the other hand, didn't know how this matter should develop. Even though Wan Yulan was prepared, she did not think about what to do after such a thing happened. Black Canal Basilica. This time I'll take care of it. Li Zongjio said calmly. "Let me introduce you. This is King of Fire, my friend." When Wan Yulan heard Li Zongjio's words, she realized that there was a red-haired girl beside her. You are King of Fire. I often hear Li Zongjio talk about you." When Wan Yulan saw the King of Fire, she became nervous and did not know what to say. She only had time to say a polite sentence. "Hello." The King of Fire elegantly shook hands with Wan Yulan. In front of this temperament, Wan Yulan had already lost by a level. Chapter 1091. Li Zongjio flicked his finger. A wisp of flame burned the corpses in front of him. However, the horses left on their own. Having lost their master, the horses began to gallop wildly in all directions. A few of the smarter ones ran straight back to the Black Canal Temple. Wan Yulan felt like dozens of crows were flying back and forth above her head. The situation seemed to have been messed up. Wan Yulan, who was supposed to be imprisoned, seemed to have been reborn because of Li Zongjio's arrival. At least, no one would come to deal with Wan Yulan for the time being. However, This situation could only be maintained until the afternoon. By then Black Canal Basilica would definitely send people here. They would never allow anyone to disobey their authority in the city. At this moment, Wan Yulan seemed to have found a direction in her heart. In for a penny, in for a pound. Wan Yulan thought in her heart. How did it end up like this? Li Zongjio asked. Wan Yulan then told Li Zongjio what had happened in the past few days. Li Zongjio's disappearance, and the incident in Feiyue City, had attracted a lot of attention. In addition, the disappearance of the formation master had also caused quite a stir in the Jianghu. These messy things alone were enough for Black Canal Basilica to deal with. Moreover, because of these things, the Haika dynasty's royal family had also recovered some of their power. The headquarters gave some power to the Haika dynasty to deal with these things. The Haika dynasty trusted the Marquis of Wanyong. Wan Yulan also took advantage of this opportunity to have many meetings, as well as some plans to overthrow. She wanted to fight Black Canal Basilica to the end. Although the plan wasn't flawless, it wasn't to the point where there would be any mistakes. In the end, they were betrayed by their own people. I knew that kid wasn't a good person, Li Yun said angrily after hearing this. To think that there would be such a traitor. He wished he could stomp Wan Qingquan to death. It's also good to kill the members of the Knight Regiment now. These people are used to being arrogant and overbearing. This time, it just so happens to boost the prestige of our Marquis of Wanyong's mansion. Wan Yulan said. The counterattack will begin today. Let's see what the Black Canal Basilica will do next. Li Yun nodded as she listened. It seemed like this was the only way. If not, what else could they do? If the Eagle battleship was still around, it would be able to deter the enemy. But now the Eagle battleship was completely destroyed. What Sky Shaman didn't know was that his move had directly thrown tens of millions of purple yuan into the sea, making it all go down the drain. What's there to wait for? These people from Black Canal Basilica, I've long wanted to meet them. Since they are prepared to take action against me in the Demon Suppression Palace, I'll go and cripple them now, Li Zongjio said. To be honest, two Supreme Being experts were here. Being lawless and out of control was nothing at all. Don't be impulsive. There's an ascetic hall in Black Canal Basilica. The ascetics inside are all in the primitive emperor realm. The strongest three are almost all in the Supremes. This is the highest level of information that our Marquis of Wanyong's mansion has obtained. Wan Yulan was afraid that Li Zongjio would be too impulsive and lose his life for nothing. Although Li Zongjio could deal with Supremes, there was a reason why Black Canal Basilica could keep the Haika dynasty informed for so many years. The strength in their hands was definitely not weak. Then let's destroy this ascetic hall first. Li Zongjio's solution was extremely straightforward. Anyway, it was better to attack those who were more powerful first. Wan Yulan didn't understand Li Zongjio's approach, but she knew that Li Zongjio seemed to be serious. Then I'll get someone to prepare. Regardless of success or failure, there will be a battle today. It's up to you, Li Zongjio said. Wan Yulan was also a decisive woman. She immediately went to prepare. The experts from the underworld forces that she had contacted previously all took action. They directly loitered around the headquarters of Black Canal Basilica and carried out surveillance. Even some of the hidden sentries were directly pulled out. It made them completely blind. Black Canal Basilica never expected that someone would be so bold. The Marquis of Wanyong's residence is going to revolt. Men, gather all the Black Knights and the Blade Squad. Gather all of them. Take my order and gather all the ascetics below the 5th floor of the Tower of Hardship. The person in charge was the red-cloaked Archbishop. The Temple Master and Deputy Temple Master of Black Canal Basilica were not in the city, but in the Sacred Mountain. According to Black Canal Basilica's position, it was a supreme god. Naturally, it would not live in a city where people mixed together. Basically, everything was handed over to the archbishops and other people in charge of the temple to manage. One archbishop and 15 red-cloaked bishops under him. Under the red-cloaked bishops, each of them was in charge of dozens of white deacons. These white deacons would also be in charge of the blue-cloaked messengers. The identity of the blue-cloaked messengers was equivalent to that of the governor of each major city. In this city, The blue-cloaked messengers had the greatest authority. If there were white deacons, it would usually be in some of the larger cities. Archbishop, Marquis Wanyong's residence colluded with the rebels, and has to be eliminated. I heard that even that evil Lord Li Zhongjio has been roped in by Marquis Wanyong's residence. A red-cloaked bishop said. Previously, the order to send the life and death servant to kill Li Zhongjio was given by this red-cloaked bishop. Later on, he lost everything, which could be considered a big failure in this merit. Evil Lord? So what if it's Evil Lord? Send out an order for all the people at the highest level of the arena to gather in my Black Canal Basilica. If anyone doesn't come, they will be eliminated permanently. You think you can make waves just because you have some strength? I want to see how capable you are. The red-cloaked archbishop's order was quite effective. In the afternoon of that day, the top experts of the 10 major arenas had all gathered. Hundreds of primitive emperors gathered in one place. There had never been such a lively event before. The royal family of the Heike dynasty was unusually quiet at the moment. Now documents were flying everywhere. Black Canal Basilica had gathered tens of thousands of Black Knights. It was obvious that they were going to fight in the city. In the royal city, wind and rain were gathering. Even in the sky, there was a faint red cloud that was brewing. Wan Yonggong also showed up in person. With such a big matter, he could no longer continue his seclusion. Even Wan Yonggong was woken up by the butler. When he heard that the battle was imminent, Wan Yonggong was stunned for a moment. Where are they? They have already set off. The old butler said. He had lived for so long, but he had never seen such a battle. Such a scene, although it felt like an egg hitting a rock. Why did it make one's blood boil? Black Canal Basilica. Archbishop. 8 black pillars have suddenly appeared outside our holy sanctum. Chapter 1092. 8 pillars. The group of people also shook their heads one after another. Send someone to break these pillars. Stop trying to act all mysterious in front of me. The archbishop ordered. Who knew what these pillars were used for? But who were you trying to scare with these pillars? Didn't everyone grow up being scared? The archbishop in red gave the order. He then sent 300 knights to charge towards the 8 pillars. The periphery of Black Canal Basilica was like a small castle. It was located in the center of the Black Canal Kingdom. The gate of the tall castle opened directly. Charge! Push these pillars! They actually dared to provoke the Black Canal Basilica on their own initiative. They were simply too arrogant. It was too much. Of course, they had to be taught a lesson. However, when the 300 Black Knights rushed out and left the gate of the castle, they disappeared directly. They had disappeared. Some of the arena experts who were watching the situation below from above the castle were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. What the hell? Where are they? They just disappeared like that. Those present were not small fries. They were basically primitive emperor-level powerhouses. These hundreds of people could stir up half of the Heike dynasty. Only the order of the Black Canal Basilica could gather these people together. At this moment, they were very clear that they had been summoned in such a hurry today. They were going to deal with the Marquis of Wanyong. Although the Marquis of Wanyong had a good reputation in the dynasty, it was obviously a bit exaggerated to gather so many people together. However, if one person was added to the list of enemies, it was this evil lord in front of them that could attract their attention. Evil Lord. When this name was mentioned, the Inferno Arena could be said to have the deepest feeling. When Evil Lord first appeared, it could be said that he had helped the Inferno Arena earn a lot of money. However, before they could make a fortune, this guy had disappeared. Not only that, but he had also killed 2 of the Hell Arena's experts. This was a massive loss for the Hell Arena. Fortunately, the Hell Arena was still able to hold on. Otherwise, Ruorwa would really not know how to deal with such a situation. It was normal for her to not be able to recover from the setback. The other arenas were like wolves and tigers. Once they saw you in a situation, they would rush up and devour you. Because Marquis Wanyong had invited an evil lord, just by hearing his name, one could tell that he was a supreme being. Therefore, these people wanted to see just how capable this evil lord was. In a restaurant across the street, The restaurant was already occupied by Wang Yulan's men. However, Li Zongjie said that there was no need to rush, and that he would play with them first. Thus he set up the soul-burning array. Li Yun also set up a set of 8 trigrams tundra formation to conceal the true scene inside the soul-burning array. In fact, the 300 cavalrymen who rushed out were all dead. The 4 of them sat around a table, drinking tea, chatting and eating melon seeds. It was also the first time that King of Fire ate melon seeds. He actually swallowed the melon seeds directly. Li Yun also quickly came over to teach King of Fire how to eat melon seeds. Wang Yulan looked at the strange combination in front of her. At this moment, there was already smoke everywhere, and a great battle could break out at any time. However, after Li Zongjie appeared and set up the 8 pillars, it was as if nothing had happened. This array is so powerful, Wang Yulan said in shock. I'm not bragging, but the people of Black Canal Basilica can forget about coming out from the main entrance. Li Zongjie said indifferently. It sounded like Li Zongjie was bragging, but what Li Zongjie said was indeed the truth. Given the power of the array formation, it was impossible for anyone to break it in the Black Canal Sacred Hall. After all, these 8 soul-burning pillars were all made by Sky Wu himself. No one knew how much effort it took Sky Wu to make these soul-burning pillars. Then what should we do now? Wait for them to rush out. Wang Yulan said. You're right. That's too troublesome. We have to wait. Li Zongjie said. Then he stepped on the void and came in front of the soul-burning array. When Li Zongjie appeared, the people below also saw him clearly. Suddenly, everyone became nervous. This is Evil Lord. He's so young. He's the Evil Lord who kills without blinking an eye. He doesn't look like him. The experts in the arena shouted one after another. They stared at Li Zongjie in the sky curiously. Now that this guy rushed out, wasn't he afraid that they would swarm him and capture him alive? Li Zongjie gently raised his hand. 8 soul-burning pillars appeared behind Li Zongjie. When the pillars left the ground, the situation on the ground was exposed in front of everyone's eyes. Looking at the corpses of the Black Knights on the ground, the people on the wall sucked in a breath of cold air. They were all dead. What kind of demonic magic weapons were those 8 pillars? Now I'll give you a chance. You can leave in 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, everyone in the castle will die. Li Zongjie's voice came out. Immediately, the 8 soul-burning pillars fell forward. Boom! The soul-burning pillars fell to the ground and rapidly grew in size. Boom! Like 8 heavenly pillars, they angrily pierced the heavens. The soul-burning pillars released an ancient will, which made these people extremely nervous, feeling the terrifying power in front of them. However, if he wanted to kill so many people with just these 8 pillars, it would be impossible. It was simply impossible. No one would believe it. I don't believe that these 8 pillars are so powerful. This idiot exposed his trump card. Isn't he afraid that the people of Black Canal Basilica will rush out and kill him now? Someone said. And this thought was directly confirmed. 8 figures instantly rose into the sky. Seeing these 8 figures, Wang Yulan's pupils suddenly shrank. Ascetic cultivators. These people are ascetic cultivators. Li Yun said. They don't look like ascetic cultivators. Each of them is so fat. Li Yun looked at these ascetic cultivators. Although they were dressed in rags, each of them had oily faces. These people are suffering from their minds. They are extremely powerful. Everyone get ready to move. Wang Yulan said to her subordinates. These people with lofty ideals were all loyal to the Haika dynasty. At least, they had to overthrow the Black Canal Basilica. They were all prepared to sacrifice themselves. However, before Wang Yulan and others could make a move, Li Zongjie had already made the final decision. 8 thunderbolts fell from the sky. The 8 silhouettes were struck by the lightning. Boom! 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 Then, the 8 aggressive ascetic cultivators were struck to the ground before they could say anything. Chapter 1093. These 8 ascetics had been cultivating in the Tower of Hardship for nearly 50 years. Since they were chosen, they had never stepped out of the Tower of Hardship. They had spent most of their lives in the Tower of Hardship. Who would have thought that they would end up in such a state? They had just poked their heads out, but they didn't even have the time to show off their might. But he had already been killed by someone. That evil lord wasn't joking at all. This guy is serious. Everyone cried out in alarm. Li Zongjio's actions, and the fact that he dared to kill the ascetics at the entrance of the Black Canal Basilica, had indeed shocked them greatly. They had become numb to the strong rule of the Black Canal Basilica in the past. There was only one thought in their minds, and that was once they disobeyed the Black Canal Basilica, there would be very serious consequences. They didn't know what the consequences would be for the time being, but they knew that no one could bear such consequences. Therefore, when the Black Canal Basilica summoned them, these experts of the arena rushed over without hesitation. Otherwise, the Black Canal Basilica would definitely come to settle the score. It was better to make arrangements now. They had never thought of rebelling. There were people who had thought of rebelling in the past, but they had all disappeared in the end. Not even a trace of them was left behind. Now, after so many years, there was finally someone who dared to challenge the Black Canal Basilica. And he seemed to be very strong. What should we do? Some people had already begun to think. At this time, a red-robed cardinal had already landed on the walls of the castle and ordered the hundreds of experts of the arena in front of him. What are you waiting for? Take this guy down. Black Knights, move out. Suddenly, tens of thousands of cavalry rushed out of the Black Canal Basilica. There were cavalry, and there were even flying cavalry. The mighty army charged out. With such a terrifying lineup, just the aura gathered together was enough to sweep away the alliance of any forces in the city. Even the hundreds of primitive emperors felt a suffocating feeling in front of this army. Boom! Without hesitation, Li Zongjio threw down the 8 burning soul pillars behind him. Boom, boom, boom. The soul-burning array was immediately formed. It trapped all of the Black Knights within, and began to refine them with an extremely domineering power. Clang! Clang! This time, the mystifying array was not activated, so everyone could see it clearly. This dark torrent rushed into the middle of the formation, but the troops in front all fell to the ground. However, the strength of these knights was not simple. They relied on their fearless spirit to forcibly rush to the edge of the soul-burning array. Many of them directly jumped down from the city wall and escaped the range of the soul-burning array. Kill them all. If you don't attack, you will be an enemy of the Black Canal Basilica. The cardinal roared angrily. Finally, the hundreds of experts could not bear such pressure. More importantly, Li Zongjio's formation was currently being held back by the Black Knights. Naturally, there was nothing to be afraid of. Hundreds of primitive emperors could not handle one Li Zongjio. Go kill this kid. The experts of the Inferno Arena rushed to the forefront. However, before this group of people rushed to the sky, they saw Li Zongjio had already taken the initiative to rush towards them. Li Zongjio was holding the hammer in his hand. Boom! His figure landed, and the hammer smashed on the floor. Suddenly, a terrifying force was set off, exploding in all directions. Boom! This group of primitive emperors, some of them had their legs blown off before they could react. They flew out and crashed on the ground. Boom! With just one smash, nearly 7 people's legs were blown off. Li Zongjio was already old and experienced. No matter how young he was, he understood the principle that he who strikes first gains the advantage, and those who strike later will suffer. Therefore, when he attacked, he was very decisive and did not give these people a chance to breathe. When he landed on the ground, he was the first to charge at the red-robed cardinal. Many experts of the Inferno Arena blocked Li Zongjio's attack. When they found out that Li Zongjio wanted to attack the cardinal, they also attacked Li Zongjio. The terrifying origin energy vibrated, and even the power of different states burst out. The power of different attributes overlapped with each other. Nearly 20 primitive emperors joined forces and attacked Li Zongjio at the same time. In the face of these people's joint attack, Li Zongjio only raised the black dragon hammer in his hand and smashed it in front of him. Boom! As the hammer fell, thunder and lightning filled the city. What a powerful force! Boom! Puff! Many people vomited blood directly. Li Zongjio fought more than 20 primitive emperors by himself. After breaking through the defense of the 20 primitive emperors, Li Zongjio rushed to the front of the red-robed cardinal and lifted him up directly. "What are you trying to do? If you dare to kill me, the holy sanctum will not let you go. Killing a cardinal is a big crime. In the Heike dynasty, no one dared to be disrespectful to these cardinals. No one dared to offend them, not to mention directly grabbing the cardinal's collar and lifting him up. The origin energy of the cardinal had reached the primitive emperor realm, but it was basically accumulated through some special methods. In front of Li Zongjio, he could not cause any waves at all. Li Zongjio did not even bother to answer him. He turned the cardinal's head around and smashed him on the floor. The latter used his origin energy to protect his body and smashed a big hole in the floor. Even so, he was still smashed to the point where his head was bleeding, and there was a large gash on his head. Let go of the cardinal. Some people wanted to make a contribution. If they could save the cardinal at this time, it would be a great contribution. Li Zongjio used the cardinal in his hand as a shield in front of him. Seeing this, the other party immediately wanted to withdraw his attack, but it was too late. Boom! The poor cardinal spurted out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, he looked back to see who was attacking him. This grudge must be remembered. However, in the next second, the cardinal was thrown to the ground by Li Zongjio. Finally, he stepped on him and ended his life. The surrounding primitive emperors also continued to attack Li Zongjio. The black dragon hammer in Li Zongjio's hand flashed with lightning. Every time it flashed, it took away several lives. Chapter 1094. Wan Yulan and the others, who were lying in ambush in the restaurant, saw this scene. Li Zongjio alone had blocked all these people in front of him, and from the looks of it, there was no need for them to make a move. The formation is about to break. Let's fight the Black Knight Legion. Wan Yulan finally found something to do. Otherwise, how embarrassing would it be if Li Zongjio, who had painstakingly prepared for half a year, defeated them all by himself? However, Wan Yulan had no choice but to make a move. The King of Fire's figure had already appeared in front of the soul-burning formation. At this moment, Li Zong did not have the time to operate the soul-burning formation, and the King of Fire raised his hand to activate it. The soul-burning formation also began to move with the King of Fire's action. Boom! The 8 soul-burning pillars instantly enlarged. Originally, more than half of the legion had been sacrificed, and could have broken through the soul-burning formation. But suddenly, the King of Fire appeared, and directly doubled the power of the soul-burning formation. It was simply impossible for anyone to resist it. The casualties were even more severe, and basically no one who rushed into the formation was injured. All of their souls were directly burned, and the power of the soul-burning formation was also increasing. At this moment, the Archbishop and the others who were observing the situation in the temple saw this scene, and how could they not know the crisis of the situation? Wake those 3 people up. It was the last resort. 3 ascetics at the top. This was the last resort of Black Canal Basilica. If even these ascetics could not defeat Li Zongjio and the others, then they could only take the initiative to surrender. At this moment, Li Zongjio had already killed more than half of the people on the walls of the castle. The great evil lord faced all the experts of the top 10 arenas in the city head-on. Hundreds of primitive emperors were actually unable to harm the evil venerable at all. This battle did not need to be publicized at all. It would directly cause an uproar in the city. It swept through the entire Heike dynasty. The name of the evil dominator would soon be known throughout the entire dynasty. Black Canal Basilica will definitely show its trump card now that it has been pushed to this point. The thing that Wan Yulan was worried about was finally going to happen. "Yulan, what did you do?" Just when Wan Yulan was worried, an angry voice came from outside the corridor. Then, an old and vigorous figure came in front of Wan Yulan and glared at her. He was obviously very surprised and angry at how things had developed. "Grandfather!" Wan Yulan exclaimed in surprise when she saw the newcomer. Acting rashly without sufficient preparation, "You're going to ruin the plan we've been working on for decades." Wan Yulan was so angry that his body was trembling. Obviously, in Wan Yulan's opinion, They were not prepared for the final battle at all. It was all because of Wan Yulan's impatience that things had turned out this way. Wan Yulan, don't be anxious. We still have a chance of winning this battle. A family head of the alliance walked out and comforted him. The 3 elders of the ascetic hall are all supremes. Without the support of the Haotian sect, we can't win this battle at all. If it is the Haotian sect's request, even if we defeat the Black Canal Basilica, what can we do? We will just replace the Black Canal Basilica with the Haotian sect. Wan Yulan said in a deep voice. Today is the day we cut off all means of retreat. Grandfather, I am the leader of the alliance now. Wan Yulan's words gave Wan Yulan a fright. This girl was actually so decisive. But since things had already come to this, there was no turning back. The more it was like this, the more they had to be united. You are right, but... Wan Yulan let out a long sigh. At this moment, a terrifying force suddenly erupted from the ascetic tower of the Black Canal Basilica. The winds and clouds above the Black Canal Royal City were constantly changing. Then a second force appeared. It formed a terrifying shockwave that rushed towards the sky. It was a sign of the appearance of an expert. Everyone looked at the 2 light beams that burst out from the sky. It's them. Wan Yulan and the others were extremely nervous and shocked as they looked at the 2 light beams that appeared in the sky. Clearly these 2 supreme being experts had appeared. Li Zhongjio and the King of Fire also looked in the direction of the ascetic tower. Just as the surrounding aura seemed to have reached its peak, everyone felt an invisible pressure hovering above them. All of a sudden, an even more terrifying power appeared, surpassing the previous 2 powers. It erupted in an even more ferocious manner. Boom! Heaven and earth shook. Dark clouds rolled. Within this aura, there seemed to be an extremely terrifying anger. The people in the Black Canal Royal City also looked up. At this moment, they seemed to feel that there was a hand above their heads that was restraining them. At any moment, this hand would take their lives and crush their own heads. It's coming. This is the power of the Black Canal Basilica. The surviving experts in the arena also grew excited. At the same time, they were also extremely shocked. Sure enough, the trump card of the Black Canal Basilica was not simple. 3 supreme being level existences. It was enough to make these experts feel powerless. No matter how hard one cultivated, it was impossible to catch up to these people. Therefore, one would be completely enslaved by the Black Canal Basilica and forever under them. But there was nothing one could do about it. After all, they had the strongest power. Anyone would feel despair when facing 3 supremes. Wan Yonggong and the others stared at the sky and felt the terrifying aura. It was also the first time that Wan Yulan faced the aura of a supremes. It was only at this moment that Wan Yulan truly felt the power of this aura. She originally thought that she was strong enough to take charge and change the entire dynasty. However, in reality, her current strength was simply insignificant before those 3 auras. She did not even have the will to resist. She could not muster any will to resist. However, just when everyone's willpower was low, at the same time, an aura was released from the King of Fire. At first, this aura was not shocking, but the aura of the 3 supremes was gradually restrained by the aura of the King of Fire. In the end, they did not have the power to surpass the aura of the King of Fire. It was as if the 3 kings were obedient in front of an emperor and did not dare to act rashly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.